What's going on, everybody? It is Friday, October the 10th, and it is 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock out here on the West Coast. And you know what that means? It's time for another episode of Cover 2 Cash. I mean, we have been killing it with our bets this week. The NFL was amazing last week. I mean, some great action actually yesterday with the Giants just absolutely putting belt to the rear on the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm sure a lot of you Eagle haters out there were absolutely enjoying that. So that's usually what happens when you win the Super Bowl. But nonetheless, we are going to head and get started, and I'm going to bring in my host from the other side of the Mississippi. Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby from Bobby's Big Board. What's going on, Bobby?
What's going on, guys? That intro never gets old, man. Whenever we start that intro, I start getting hyped up for the show every single time. I love that. But yeah, last night was a big-time win for the Giants. I know if you guys follow Justin's free plays every day, Giants plus 7.5. It cashed, absolutely. I actually had the money line on that game, so we cashed out a little bit there. Got to trust what Justin says, man. He's the man with the plan. But yes, Scatterby went absolutely nuts. Jackson Dart is doing his best Patrick Mahomes impression, so he was making some throws, man. So I'm excited. I mean, Giants are some exciting football right now to watch, so I'm definitely going to be following them the rest of the season.
Yeah, I've been 6-1 in my last 7 on the free plays. I've been 13-2 on my paid college plan. That's only $10. I've been destroying my paid. My clients are absolutely getting it. They're getting rich. I was a little boastful last week on it. I mean, I've just been absolutely murdering my college football picks. That's what I love to pick the most. I've got our free play tonight is North Texas, and they're up by 7 right now. That was a money line play. I've got a free play coming out tomorrow that I think you guys are going to like. And then I've got a 10-unit special. It's going to be part of that college football package. 10 units. I'd never do 10 units. The most I've ever done is 5. I'm 4-0 on the 5-unit plays. So these are ones that I'm super confident on, but this is almost like an all-in play I got tomorrow. There's 2 plays I really like tomorrow, but that's going to be, you got to sign up at winnable.com/JustinPaulSports. I've got a free, if you sign up for free and just sign up for the free plan, you'll get a text. You'll get an email once I put my blog up. I usually do it around 5 to 6 a.m. Pacific time. So it's about, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So you guys can wake up and have your breakfast. But more importantly, we want to win some money. And that's Absolutely. We've just been pulling in the money, pulling it in. I got a couple comments here. Let's make some cash. That's it. North Texas is up. They did say that. Attica, massive week. Yes, sir. Massive week.
It is a massive week.
Those wins are rolling. And we got a fantasy question right away. Start Mason Taylor or Cade Otton?
All right, man. So listen, I did extensive film watching for the 2025 class, and Mason Taylor was by far my least favorite prospect in the 2025 class. Now, saying that, he has had a quite productive past couple of weeks. Justin Fields. He's been targeting Mason Taylor a decent amount, so in garbage time especially. So if they're down big and Justin Fields has to put on his Batman cape all of a sudden, I'm definitely going with Mason Taylor. For whatever reason, Cade Otton, unless all of the pass catchers are hurt, he is pretty much irrelevant. So I'm staying with Mason Taylor here, despite how much I hated his college tape. He's actually been fairly consistent in fantasy this year, and Cade Otton has put up a couple nothing burgers. So starting Mason Taylor pretty easily there.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's get started with our college plays going on.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. So first thing, before we get into any of these games, we've been kind of killing it a little bit. I know you see the 1916, 1915 records from us against the spread, especially with how volatile it's been in college football with, Florida beating Texas and all the upsets that have happened over the past 2-3 weeks even. These records are really respectable. Anything over 500 against the spread's very impressive. So let's go ahead and get right into the first game. Very, very exciting game. Obviously, this isn't played at Texas, but per ESPN, that's how it's set up. So, number 6, Oklahoma, team that's been rolling, whether they have their starting quarterback or not. They're playing Texas, who have been struggling. They lost to Florida, made DJ Lagway look like a world beater. I got Oklahoma minus or plus 1.5. I think that line's moved slightly, but at the time it was Texas minus 1.5. I think it's now Oklahoma minus 1.5, if I'm not mistaken. Regardless, I'm taking Oklahoma here.
So it's everybody's loves this rivalry. This is better than Ohio State, Michigan. I don't care. You can cope and seethe about it. The game is like the fifth on the top rivalries. It's not, oh, the best rivalry in football is Ohio State and Michigan. I grew up in the Midwest, and it's not. Nobody outside of those regions really cares unless both teams are ranked. Let's be real. Nobody cares about Ohio. Nobody cares about Michigan unless you live in those places. It doesn't take national attention. It's not Southern football, which reigns supreme, even though this is an old Big 8 matchup. But Red River, somebody on this show, me, said at the beginning of the year that Texas might lose 4 football games. If I recall, I think I said
that's on your channel too.
Oh,
you made it.
right.
You made it so apparent. You posted You posted the clip on your channel.
Because when we were going over the season previews and we were going over the SEC previews, it wasn't Justin hates Texas because I don't. It was because when you lose your quarterback, 3 offensive linemen, your tight end, 2 wide receivers, and a running back that's unproven coming back, and I said this was going to be a game they were going to lose. And Mateer, regardless of his injury, I think he's going to play, though. I think Mateer is set to play.
That would be a big time get for the Sooners this weekend, man. If they can get Mateer back, I loved his tape. I've actually got 4 quarterbacks graded from this 2026 class, and Mateer, he's towards the top of my quarterback rankings, man. He's just a little small for me, but he makes plays, man. He's a gunslinging playmaker.
I think the game's super close for a rivalry. I think Texas is sick of it. They come out guns a-blazing. Might take a lead in the first half, but I do think that this is an Oklahoma win. Last year was such an anomaly for Oklahoma football, and with all those returning players and with upgrading substantially at quarterback, it felt like the right play. I'm going to take Oklahoma to win 23-20 here. Give me the Red River shootout. Go into the Sooners, Boomer Sooner, drive your carts, whatever it is y'all do up there. And Texas will have 3 losses and essentially eliminated from the college football playoff.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I just don't believe in, Texas's struggles against. It's not like it's one game that they struggled. They
struggled against pretty much everybody but Sam Houston this year.
Yeah, and that's like beating up Madden on rookie. Or
they don't have a win yet.
Yeah. And it was bad optics with Arch Manning over there flexing over a Sam Houston State defender. Like, come on, man. But I'm taking the Sooners. So give me Oklahoma.
Yeah, we agree there for sure. Then next up, I think my favorite line of the weekend, Auburn, coming off some really tough losses. I think their team's pretty much deflated at this point. Georgia's got a lot to prove right now. I think Georgia, number 10 on the road versus Auburn. I think they cleanly defeat the Auburn Tigers. I think this is probably a 10-13 point victory for Georgia. So I'm definitely going Georgia minus 3.5 here. Easily.
Well, Bobby, this is what they call the Deep South's oldest rivalry. They've been playing over 100 years down there. This one's at the Plains. I think that Georgia, I'm intrigued by the line because Auburn's quarterback play is horrendous. They don't run the football. It's just they're unbelievable situation there going on in Auburn. I think Hugh Freeze is going to be on his last leg here. There's an intrigue with me with that line being 3 in the hook, but I think that Georgia can cover this line. Auburn's got some great wideouts, but they're a very one-dimensional football team. I mean, they took Texas A&M to the limit. They took Oklahoma, but I think that even though the game's down there on the Plains, I'm going to take Georgia as well. I think this game's going to be something along the lines of 27-20. Gunnar Stockton is playing really solid football.
Which I didn't expect.
People
had a lot of questions around him.
They kind of wrote him off a little bit after that Alabama game, and it just Alabama's got a much better defense than what Auburn puts on the football field. So give me the Bulldogs here.
All right. Next up, I think the game that I'm most excited about, I'm an SEC fan, obviously. But number 7, Indiana, they've been steamrolling pretty much everybody, beat the crap out of Illinois. Got my QB1 in the class thus far with Fernando Mendoza. Even though he hasn't played top-tier competition, I loved his tape. They're going on the road. Playing number 3, Oregon. Oregon minus 7.5-point favorites. Oh, man, this is a really good line because Oregon on paper is the much better team, but Indiana has just been proven to steamroll everybody. Both of these teams have just been successful versus everybody that they've played against. I do think Oregon surprises them, but over a touchdown on that line. I think I'm going to lean Indiana plus 7.5 here, but it's a perfect line, and I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong here.
Well, I've been absolutely beaten down on the Hoosiers, beating them relentlessly. I've been hard on them for their strength of schedule because it hasn't been one. It's been really lousy. I mean, they're playing Old Dominion. I mean, they canceled the series last year. I'm absolutely critical of this football team. And their soft schedule will likely get Indiana in the playoff regardless of what happens here. That being said, I've seen some of what Fernando Mendoza's doing. And this is a great quarterback matchup that for both of these quarterbacks can easily be projected to be first round. I mean, we got a preview here of what's going to go on. And this is Indiana. This is a true road test. You're going out west. The weather's cool. I mean, it's cool in Indiana as well. But Eugene, Oregon is a very, very, very enthusiastic crowd.
Absolutely.
There's a football tradition there, regardless of them never winning a national championship. I think that Kurt Signetti finally gets the job done here. I might sprinkle a little something on the money line here. It just feels like last year he got this team. He got an Indiana. This is the most losing football program in the history of college football is the Hoosiers, and they're just it's a basketball school. It always has been, and now they've got a coach in there, and they've got returning players, and Oregon has. They really, really were fortunate to hold off Penn State last week or 2 weeks ago. But they're at home, and they got that for their advantage, and I wouldn't be surprised if Oregon covered the spread, but I think the Hoosiers plot an upset here.
So we are 3 for 3 in agreement, man. This doesn't happen all that often. But, yeah, I like Indiana. This could very well be a battle of who's going to go number 1 overall in the 2026 NFL draft because – Dante Moore has looked phenomenal throughout his first 5 weeks. Indiana Mendoza has just been, phenomenal. Just come out of nowhere, just being a really good football player. I hadn't watched a lot of his tape. Mendoza blew me away with the tape. He's just got to show it against high-level competition, and Oregon absolutely fits that bill. So I'm definitely going to watch that one. I'm excited to see that. And then next up, we have Ohio State, number 1 in the country, going on the road to play number 17 Illinois. I don't know why they're ranked still. I guess is their only loss still to Indiana?
That's correct.
That would be why. So Ohio State minus 14.5-point favorites. I think that's a pretty good line because Ohio State's been bullying pretty much everybody that they've played. I think I'm going to go with the favorites here. Plus 14.5 Ohio State, but I don't feel the best about it. Absolutely not.
I want to take the points here. I'm going to take Luke Altmaier at home. Illinois got taken to the woodshed by the Hoosiers and came right back and responded accordingly, and that was a big deal. They didn't collapse. They didn't give up. It's their only loss on the season. I think this is the real first true road test for Julian Sayin, and I think that absolutely can factor into this football game. Now, he still has Caleb Downs on the defensive side of the football. They've got Jeremiah Smith, who looks absolutely electric when he gets the football in his hands. So it's just going to be a matter of can he get those two hand in hand and get the offense rolling. But I think that Illinois keeps this close. Again, this might be a little bit of a sprinkle here on the money line because, when you just continue to – when you go on the road, right, and I've seen how Ohio State plays football. They're number 1 for a reason. They're pretty much reloaded from last year. They didn't have the big drop-off like I said Texas and Georgia would have. I did not call for them to have this collapse. They're an absolute juggernaut. But I think that this might be a game where they might get bit. But I definitely like the points for sure. So I'm going to take 14 and a hook. But if the Hoosiers, or I'm sorry, but if the Illini, the Fighting Illini, there is a long history there of football. And for a
Absolutely.
long time, it was bad. But this is, the same school that had Red Grange and Dick Buckus and along those sorts. So I'll take the Illini. I'll take the points here.
First disagreements. That's good because we can't just have the same record every week. Despite us not agreeing very much the past 2 or 3 weeks now, we still come out to fairly even records, all things considered. But next up, another one I know you're really excited about. Number 8, Alabama. In my opinion, our best bet to win a national championship out of the SEC this year. I hate to say that as a State fan, but it is what it is. They're going on the road to play number 14, Missouri, one of the teams that I think is a little bit overhyped at this point. I know they're undefeated, but they haven't had too much in terms of just South Carolina on their record for their resume this year. Alabama's minus 2.5-point favorites. I like the Crimson Tide minus 2.5. I think the line's currently minus 3.5. I'm still taking Alabama here. I think they win by a touchdown at the very minimum.
So all I've heard all week is about how great Missouri's rushing attack is in their defensive ends.
He is a problem.
There's some truth to that. Ahmad Hardy is absolutely, when you look at footage of him. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. Y'all didn't want to hear me sneeze on the air. When you look at Ahmad Hardy, they've got a good backfield. They can get upfield. And if they can get to Ty Simpson, it could absolutely change the dynamics of Alabama's football game. But I'm going to look at a couple things here. First of all, with Missouri, their best win, South Carolina, who doesn't look like the world beaters that we thought they were. And Missouri has not played a road game yet. This is October the 10th, and they've played 5 games at home, and they've come off a bye week. So all the cards are in their favor. But their secondary is absolutely not it. Now, I think that Alabama's game plan here is going to be actually to run the football at Missouri. I think that they're going to try and do some play action here because they're going to try and get around them edges and get to Ty Simpson, he's got to be a Heisman front runner at this point with his efficiency.
He's close.
I mean, last week against Vanderbilt, they got their first interception. He threw his first interception of the year last week, and it looked like a busted route on the receiver. Not blaming the white I'm just saying that's what happened from the coach's perspective. So because Alabama's able to maintain ball control here, I think that they're going to stack the box, and I think that this is a massive step up in competition for Missouri.
Absolutely.
Alabama's never lost to Missouri. I don't care about previous teams. I think that this is everybody. Joe Klatt, Josh Pate, all the talking heads say, oh, man, Missouri's got a chance. It looks so good. But, I mean, when you're playing some of these teams that they played, I mean, Kansas had a lead on them in the fourth quarter. I mean, granted, it's the border war. They don't play it every year like they should. But when you've had these kind of situations, you give up 31 points to a team that's not electric at football, and you're finally playing a team that's got an amazing passing attack. I mean, you got to cover – I think this is a Ryan Williams bust-out game. I think this dude has 3 touchdowns against Missouri. It's going to be 10, $153. I think it's going to be a show for the guy who carries the stuffy around. It's going to be the show. So, give me Alabama here. Give me them to cover the points. And for sure, we'll see what's going on after that.
So, after the college football season's over, we always go over some of our favorite prospects for the 2026 class in this. And there's a couple of really talented guys. Alabama, you got Jeremy Bernard, who just kind of came out of nowhere, which he really didn't come out of nowhere because last year he had a really good season too, over 700 yards. But this year he's been killing it. He's a very reliable option. Kind of reminds me, just a guy that just gets open all the time. He's just constantly open. So definitely excited to see where he lands. I'm thinking early to mid day 2, probably, late second or early to mid to late second round, I think, for Jeremy Bernard if he continues at this pace. And like you said, we did the SEC preview. The spotlight player for Missouri was Ahmad Hardy.
Yeah.
He is phenomenal. Nobody knew who he was coming out of University of Louisiana Monroe. Nobody knew who he was. And then he comes to Missouri, and I want to say he's the leading rusher in football right now. So love what Missouri has done with Ahmad Hardy. Glad that he got the ball a lot. So last but not least, Michigan going on the road to USC, so going a little ways. Southern California. I got USC here, -2.5, fairly easily. I don't know if you guys know too much about a guy named Waymond Jordan, but he's their running back. He was a D2 guy that transferred to USC this season. 7 yards a carry, 531 yards, and 5 touchdowns versus some pretty good competition. He played Michigan State. He's played Illinois as well, had 2 touchdowns against them. So love their rushing attack. I know Michigan has a great defense, but I'm going to stick with USC here. And, I mean, they've got a lot. Mekhi Lemon is really great. They've got lots of stars all over the football field. So I'm going to take USC here, -2.5.
It's a really perplexing matchup. I mean, you've got a quarterback in Michigan who can throw it all over the football field.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love what Justice Haynes does. He's the one Alabama transfer that was kind of broke my heart to see him go. And he's just been absolutely destroying it. Now, there did seem to be a little bit of disarray between those two on the sideline. I don't remember if that was last week or 2 weeks ago. But they finally got past all this nonsense with the scandals of them cheating. And because they cheated, y'all. I don't care what you say. Michigan cheated and got caught. And Sharon Moore got caught deleting texts that were incriminating. So Michigan fans like to just not real attempts. That's what they do. But I'm just, being honest, like, you're the champs, but you cheated and you're paying for it. So nonetheless, I do think they got what it takes to get it done out there in Southern California. I would love to see Michigan lose, but this is about betting. So I'm going to take the 2.5 points here. I think you could probably lay the money line. I got to see it from Lincoln Riley and them. I got to see it. I mean, ever since Caleb Williams left that place, he really hasn't, had a whole lot of nothing. Record keeps diminishing until I got to see it. Just like what you say when we do our fantasy football stuff. You got to give me a week of production here.
Yep.
This would be a good upset. If they could stop the run and make Bryce throw the football, then I think they've got a chance. So I'll take Michigan. I don't trust SC's defense to save my life.
Well, I think the defensive game plans are very similar, right? We're trying to keep Mekhi Lemon in check, and we're trying to keep he's Waymond Jordan is 5'9", 215 pounds, so perfect build for a running back in my opinion. They're going to have to stop him as a wrecking ball. You're going to have to stop Mekhi Lemon, who has some of the best ball skills in football. And then Michigan, you got to stop Justice Haynes. He's been electric this year. They've got a true freshman wide receiver as well at Michigan that's been kind of tearing it up here lately. So I think very similar defensive game plans. But now, with that in the bag, guys, we get to go right into our NFL preview, covering the spread and doing our start-sits fantasy-wise for every single game minus the Thursday night football game for obvious reasons because that's already happened. But first game we're going to be looking at, the Denver Broncos going on the road to play the New York Jets. Now, New York Jets, their game last weekend looks a lot better than it was. Scored a lot of garbage time points. This is in London. Interesting matchup because these overseas games are always interesting. Denver -7.5. Their offense has been decent. Their defense has been great. Nick Bonito actually leads the NFL in sacks right now, interestingly enough, with, I want to say, 7.5. So I'm going to say the Broncos do enough to cover here, but the Jets, they do have stars everywhere. But Justin Fields is just not a quarterback that I believe in unless I have him in fantasy. Then he puts up fantasy points, but he's not a real good, real-life NFL quarterback. So I'm going to stick with the way better team, in my opinion, in the Denver Broncos.
So the Jets are 0-5, and now they're going to go across the pond and play an international series. But I think this favors the Jets a little more than the Broncos because it's less travel there a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think the Jets are going to win this football game, but they've been in every football game pretty much. I mean, they don't quit. I like Breece Hall in a matchup here. I like Garrett Wilson in the matchup here. Pat Surtain, God bless him. I love him, but he got cooked last week. Man, did he get destroyed. It's kind of unique for me to see that because I've rarely seen that happen to him. But like you said, Benito, he can get there in the backfield, but I think that the Jets got enough weapons to make some plays here. Might be a spot where the Broncos might be resting on their laurels a little bit, especially with the Chiefs losing last week. they've got a real opportunity here to make a run in this division. But I'm going to take the Jets to cover. Give me that hook. That hook might do it. I could see it being a 24-17, 23-17 type of football game. Jets might get a garbage touchdown to cover that line. So I'll take that all day.
All right. Sounds good to me. Let's go ahead and get into the start sits. So I do like Bo Nix versus the Jets defense. I think he's a solid, rushing upside quarterback that can get you multiple touchdowns in any given week. Yes, he does throw some very sketchy passes every now and then, but I do like Bo Nix. And J.K. Dobbins may be the surprise of the year for some people. J.K. Dobbins, I've never questioned his talent, but it's always been about durability with him. He stayed healthy so far, has not popped up on any injury reports at any point this year, so he's been fully healthy. I'm excited to see him run the football. He is just electric, man. He's just a really powerful runner in between the tackles, and they've been blocking great for him. I think he's a top 5 back right now in fantasy, so love J.K. Dobbins versus the Jets, even though they have Quinnen Williams. And then Justin Fields, the absolute prime example of a quarterback that may not be so great in the NFL as like an actual quarterback, but just gives you fantasy points. I think he had like 6 points in the fourth quarter, total fantasy points, and then just put it on and ended up with 30 fantasy points if you're in a 6-point passing touchdown league. Justin Fields went crazy. So definitely think he's startable just because of the overall rushing upside, even though I don't think he's the best actual quarterback. Breece Hall, he's been looking up and up. I don't think he finishes the season as a New York Jet, but I think he's been solid enough. He's been catching passes. Braylon Allen is out, unfortunately. I loved Braylon Allen. I was really high on him preseason. He's hurt. He's probably going to miss the majority of the season now. So Breece Hall is the primary guy with Isaiah Davis mixing as a change of pace back here and there. So love Breece Hall. I think he's going to get a ton of volume this week as long as they're not super far behind. And then Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's a guy that just didn't really get targeted a whole lot last week until the fourth quarter. I think Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson, they're getting that chemistry back that they had in college. And I think Garrett Wilson's a no-brainer start each and every week. And then for the sits, RJ Harvey, unfortunately, his best week was when he got a ton of garbage time against the Bengals a couple of weeks ago. I love the talent, but JK, you can't not feed JK 20 times a game because of how well he's been playing. So until JK gets hurt, I'm staying away from RJ Harvey for the time being. Love him in Dynasty, though. Evan Ingram, I think he's a trap. You should stay away from him. I know he had like 4 catches for 45 yards and a touchdown last week. Stay away from him. I think he's bait. If you have any tight end around his tier, around his same projection, I am sticking with away from Evan Ingram and sticking with those other tight end options for now. Marvin Mims, he's intriguing to me because they've got a lot of plays where he's basically the first target and the only target, a lot of screens, a lot of really creative play calls, but he hasn't really gotten a lot with it. He hasn't been super productive unless he catches like a deep bomb. I do say he is a field stretcher, but Marvin Mims is not a guy that I'm going to bet on consistently because he's just so inconsistent. Then Isaiah Davis, I think he sprinkles in a little bit, but maybe catches a few passes. 8 points, I think, is like a decent performance from him, so I'm staying away from that. I think there's better options out there. And then Josh Reynolds. People were really excited about him as their wide receiver 2 for some reason. He's done pretty much nothing this year. Stay away from him because, Mason Taylor is like the only other pass catcher that I would feel comfortable starting right now outside of Garrett Wilson. So staying away from Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, it's a good start sit list. I was never in on RJ Harvey, and I would just cannot get over the Broncos drafting a 24-year-old running back. The college production is everything. And they had Audric Estime right there, 20 years old. I think he could have built something with him, but Sean Payton's going to do what he's going to do, I guess. And the Broncos are winning, so none of this fantasy stuff really matters. It's a good start sit list there.
Yeah, with the Audric Estime thing, he's a very similar back to J.K. Dobbins. He just doesn't offer the same amount of explosiveness. I think the reason why they let him go, surprisingly, I did not think they were going to let him go. I thought he'd be like their third option or their practice squad guy. But yeah, they're very similar skill sets. So I think that's why they went with Harvey, because they needed a back that could catch the ball and be like a change of pace, explosive back that offers the speed. And Estime just doesn't do those things particularly well. So I think that's why they let him go. But next up, we're going to the next matchup of the week. We've got the Arizona Cardinals. I almost called them the St. Louis Cardinals. So that's a throwback. Arizona Cardinals going on the road to play the Indianapolis Colts, who have just been on a tear. I know they lost a couple weeks ago, but they've been really doing it, man, this season. Probably the surprise team of the year. Daniel Jones has been playing electric football, right? Jonathan Taylor's probably the best back in the NFL right now. Tyler Warren seems like a smash, slam, dunk hit for them in the first round. I do like the Colts -6.5 here. The Cardinals, Kyler Murray's a little banged up right now. I do think he plays, but he's not going to be able to run around as much with that foot injury. And, you know, their defense is not the best. Will Johnson, I don't know if he plays. He's been banged up a while. He's an electric football player, but he's been hurt a decent amount. I like the Colts. I like their defense. I like their offense a ton. Shane Steichen's finally unlocked the potential of this team. So I'm going to go with Indianapolis -6.5 here. Not a big believer in the Cardinals at all.
The Cardinals are one miracle and 2 plays away from being 5-0. I'm going to take the Cardinals in the points here. They lost in the most hilarious way last week. That was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you drop the ball at the goal line, you know, you get the touchback there, and then you immediately give up an interception that you fumble and the other team scores, and then it's just ridiculous. You couldn't do that if you tried. Like, you couldn't do that if you tried. And I think that, you know, this is a 3-game losing streak for the Cardinals here, and I think that the Colts are actually in one of their more comfortable zones here. They're at home. You know, they're probably thinking that the Cardinals are going to be down on themselves. I think they lit a fire to their ass. I think the Cardinals win this game. I think they win the game, so I'll easily take the points here. I think that they've got something they have to prove, because if they don't, then they're going to be 2-4, and the seats out here are going to be hotter than the desert sun. You can't go into year 3 of a rebuild and play like this. This is desperation mode for Phoenix or for Arizona more than it is for Indianapolis. So give me the Cardinals to win the game outright. That's a money line play that I like. Kyler is supposed to play. There's nobody really on the injury list. I think Trey McBride's the only one, I think.
Well, they don't have any running backs. That is a big problem.
I mean, they don't, but I know it's not going to be DeMarcado. You probably see Michael Carter in there. And, you know, like, I think Daniel Jones, I think it's a game where they start off the first half, and it might be one where the Cardinals just pull away in the second half. This is definitely, you know, like, it's one of the things I use in my betting psychology is to say, we can look at analytics and X's and O's and all this stuff, and you can overwhelm yourself with it. I only really care too much about a couple things, which I've put in the videos on my channel. I care about your offensive line, your defensive line, your quarterback, and what happened last week. And what happened last week was an absolute clown show. And what happens when a team gets embarrassed the previous week? They come out there more focused, more prepared. They're going on the road. I think they know what's at stake here. Give me the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, Gannon's got to win this, man. I think he's got maybe 1 or 2 more losses, and then he's probably out of there, especially with what happened last week with DeMarcado. I know that sparked a little bit of controversy. You know,
but
I see a lot of
I'm going to interrupt you here. I don't think that last week's loss was his fault. He didn't fumble the football. He didn't.
I was talking about the DeMarcado situation.
No, I know. And I think that was kind of a spark. I think it's worth the $100,000 fine, because you're telling your team, I'm not putting up with this. He's lucky he's still on the roster. I think if the Cardinals didn't have injuries, he would be off the roster, because that's the message you ultimately want to send, because it cost the team the game. It cost a game. When I played high school football, I will never forget this. Never forget it. I mean, obviously, I still don't forget it. Haven't forgotten it. But I played high school football in the 90s and late 90s. We were playing, and one of our players got a personal foul. Okay? Got a personal foul. And he said, there isn't a single person on this team worth 15 yards. And we never got another personal foul the rest of the year or next year. Because he instilled the fear of repercussions for that, for playing time and things along that sorts. So, I mean, that obviously doesn't happen in the pro leagues, but I think that the team's going to come together here. I do. I think they're going to rally around him. They have to rally around him. Otherwise, it's going to just get worse and worse around here, and people are already starting to show. apathy towards Kyler. He's got all this money, and they just can't freaking win. They're tired of it. Cardinals fans are tired of sub-mediocrity and paying all that money. And quite frankly, I don't blame them. I don't blame them for feeling that way. You got to see results on the field. They ran Cliff Kingsbury out of here, and now they bring him in here, and they're not getting results here either. So they're going to start – the heat's going to start going up on Kyler as well.
Yeah, especially with all the really successful coordinators this year. I mean, they could ship somebody out and get put an interim head coach in for the rest of the season, kind of forfeit your losses here, and then grab one of those talented coordinators, man. I mean, there's a ton of them out there. But let's go ahead and get into the start sits. Daniel Jones, I think at this point, I don't think the Cardinals defense is, very good. So, like Daniel Jones and what he's able to do with all of these weapons, there's just so many weapons on this offense, and we'll get to that in our sits list in a minute. But Daniel Jones, he's been playing great football. He's only got one really dud in the first 5 weeks, and that was in the loss. So I think Daniel Jones is a very good start option. Jonathan Taylor, if you're not starting him, I don't know what you're doing. I mean, this guy, he's got 6 touchdowns in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, He's had 6 touchdowns. He's caught a touchdown. He's caught multiple passes every single week. And he's getting 18 to 25 carries every single week. So Jonathan Taylor, he's the RB, I think, 2 right now on the year. And I think he'll be the RB1 after this week. So Jonathan Taylor, he leads the NFL in rushing and has 5.5 yards a carry, I think, right now, which is insane. He has almost 100 carries. So love the efficiency there. Shane Steichen's really getting creative with the runs concepts. And then Tyler Warren. Look, I was on the Tyler Warren hype train. I've said this every week. Choo-choo. All offseason long. He was my favorite tight end. From a person that played the position, I know it very, very well. Tyler Warren was a monster. He was always going to be a monster. People were scared about the landing spot, and he has proven everybody wrong. Daniel Jones, he never throws to tight ends. Before this year, I think he had like 8 catches total to tight ends. Tyler Warren, he's the leading receiver right now for the Indianapolis Colts. Love Tyler Warren. He's one of the best tight ends in the NFL already as a rookie. Then for the Cardinals, thank Marvin Harrison Jr. People are saying he's a bust, which is kind of ridiculous because he's been fairly efficient this year, even though the offense has been kind of hit or miss. Marvin Harrison Jr., very talented. I think he's got a big game in store for the Colts. And Trey McBride. I mean, Trey McBride's floor is 10 points for you guys. Floor is 10 points. He's going to have 5-6 catches for 50 yards every single week. That's a 10, 11 points no matter what. If he catches a touchdown or gets even more, that's just even better for you. So Trey McBride, probably the safest start option of any tight end in the NFL right now. Then for the sits, DeMercado and Michael Carter, I just don't think they're talented enough, honestly, to be efficient in the NFL, unfortunately. I liked DeMercado's big run, but that was basically all he got, and he messed that up somehow. So
sure did.
I don't think DeMercado ever does that again. Jonathan Taylor did that last year, and he's made it a point to not put the ball down until after he's ran out of the back of the end zone. So, he's Forrest Gumping it. So DeMercado probably never does that again. He's learned his lesson. It only takes one time. But I don't think either one of these backs are talented enough, just unless they just break off a big run randomly. And then for the sits for the Colts, I think it's all the pass catchers. Michael Pittman Jr. might be the only guy that I'd feel comfortable with outside of Tyler Warren, obviously. Starting, Josh Downs coming off a decent week, but it's just they spread the ball around. They're like the Packers. They spread the ball around so much to where none of these guys are really consistent options for us in fantasy. Love Josh Downs as a talent. I mean, absolutely love him, but he just doesn't get targeted enough. They don't emphasize his usage in the offense. He's just another piece in the puzzle, and that's just how Shane Steichen's going to run it. Alec Pierce, he's only relevant if he gets a 70-yard bomb touchdown. Adonai Mitchell, kind of the same thing, but he's just, he separates really well. He just has struggles holding on to the ball. He had the big-time mess up. Same thing with DeMercado. I mean, you guys got to stop doing this. I mean, y'all are professional football players, for Christ's sakes. You cannot drop the ball until you are in the end zone.
You're getting paid. You're getting a salary. Like, you can't blunder that. And he, and you're not rookie. He's not a rookie anymore.
Not anymore.
I don't know if DeMercado is, but nonetheless, I would teach, if I was coaching, I would teach my players, you need to go, when you get in the end zone and you think you're scored, you need to go look at the referee and make sure he does the touchdown signal before you do any dance. And if it happens again, I would actually make the whole team suffer for it. Because then the
Full
team
Metal
will
Jacket
handle it.
stuff, huh?
Make them run. Make them run. Make them do something. I mean, you hold them accountable like that for one player doing something foolish. You know, I mean, it just God. It's so hard to win in the National Football League.
And you take
It's
away
so
points
hard
like
to
that,
win.
especially give them the ball back too. Like I get like dropping a touchdown or something, right? That takes points
That's
off
different.
the board. But you get another chance to score. This is taking away points and giving the ball to the defense like at the same time. DeMercado is in his third year. Adonai Mitchell's in his second year. If I'm an offensive coordinator or a head coach at any franchise, I'm sitting down. I'm taking 5 minutes out of the film review session, the whatever we need to do. Whenever we're watching film, 5 minutes. I'm going to show DeMercado or Adonai Mitchell do their thing, and I'm going to say, listen, this will not happen. Like, just take 5 minutes. Tell your players, this will not happen. If this happens, you're not playing anymore. That simple. Set that precedent. I don't care if you're Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't care if you're CeeDee Lamb. You won't play if you do this because it's unacceptable. You can't do it.
It hurts your team.
It hurts your team, and it's something so stupid and like meaningless. Why drop the ball? Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. I know you want to look cool when you score your touchdown. Don't do it. You're not dropping the ball until the ref pries it out of your hands. So that's what I'd be doing if I was an offensive coordinator. But next matchup, interesting matchup because both teams have cooled off significantly. I know the Dolphins, they lost in just hilarious fashion last week. The Chargers have just been, they were super hot. They were like the Saints last year. The first 2 games, they were just killing it on offense. Obviously, they lose Amari and Hampton. That's a big loss at the running back position. But outside of that, I mean, I know they lost Joe Alt. He'll be out for a few weeks. Rashawn Slater. So that's brutal. Both your tackles. I mean, franchise tackles are out. So they do have some injuries, unfortunately. But, I mean, Herbert struggled a little bit because of those tackles being gone. He's I think he has 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in the past 3 weeks now, despite going 5 touchdowns, no picks in the first 2 weeks. So I think the Chargers going on the road versus the Dolphins, who have shown some life. You know, they were up last week, I believe, and then they just kind of fumbled the bag really hard. I think I like the Dolphins plus 4.5 here. You know, they've been playing really solid football since Tyreek's been hurt, honestly, which is weird to say. And the Chargers are just a team that's on a downward slope right now. I do like the Chargers team a little bit more on defense. I know they lost Khalil Mack, but they did get Odafe Owe, which we need to talk about a little bit. Odafe is an amazing player, former first-round pick for the Ravens. 10-plus sack season last year. Love what he puts on tape. Super explosive, fast edge rusher. But I don't think that matters. I like the Dolphins plus 4.5 here. I think they can get it done on offense. Achane's healthy. Waddle has looked great in the wide receiver 1 role. So, yeah, I'm sticking with the Dolphins here.
I do too. I like Dolphins getting points here, but man, Tua is just saying some of the wildest stuff in the media. He already said yesterday.
No,
said,
man.
Win or lose, I go home to my kids. Like that's just an odd thing for him to say. It's true.
He probably didn't even have any kids, man. He's just saying.
Well, he does. No,
I know, does. But
I know it's a CTE joke with him and all his concussions and stuff like that. You know, but it's funny because these 2 quarterbacks here were in the same draft, and I think that the Dolphins fans were kind of screaming that they didn't take Herbert and instead took Tua.
Tua was way more pro-ready than Herbert, in my opinion. Well, even though Herbert went crazy his rookie year, I thought Tua was much more ready, and Herbert was way more raw, more upside, though. It
does feel like Tua's lost some zip on those throws. But I think that the team is relieved that Tyreek Hill is not there. But Jesus, like Mike McDaniel, like this team is. If I was a Dolphins fan, I'd be absolutely flustered with him because his demeanor towards the media and his slumping and his body language, and he's saying really odd things at the podium too. Like it just, how long is this going to happen? You know, I mean, but there's so much talent on the offensive side of the football here. You know, Achane can break one at any time. Waddle can burn anybody. You know, at Alabama, he was absolutely cooking.
Yeah.
We got a guy like that there at Alabama now. His name's Latsier Brooks. Wears the same number. He's a freshman. Write that name down. He's the next Jalen Waddle. Latsier Brooks, number 17. Just glides and flies like the wind. But I do think that with Tyreek being out of there, and I think that it benefits, a team in South Florida when a team from the West Coast comes all the way out there. So I'll take the Dolphins to cover here. They might win the football game. Just a battle of former first rounders. Dolphins need to win a little more. Should be an exciting football game, though.
Yeah, I think for now the Chargers are just a fade team for me until Omarion Hampton and Joe Alt come back, because those are just pivotal positions. Yeah,
they're going to run the ball with Hassan Haskins, and you got them both on the sit.
Although I do love Hassan Haskins, I think Hassan Haskins is a really solid. I do like Hassan Haskins. I love him. I really liked him in the preseason from what I saw, but I'll go over them in a moment. But Justin Herbert, I think this is a defense that he can take advantage of a little bit. I do think Herbert is a very good quarterback. He's just struggled with a little bit of injuries to his offensive line, but I do think he's solid enough to where he can give you a good game regardless. Quentin Johnston, we've talked about him every week now. Quentin Johnston has been amazing this year. I know he didn't put up the best performance. I think he put up like 8 or 9 points this past week. I think Quentin Johnston's going to have a really good game this week, so love his outlook. Ladd McConkey's finally getting targets. I know people were getting a little scared. Ladd McConkey owners in Dynasty and just fantasy football in general, people were really scared about Ladd McConkey, and people were like, "Oh, Justin Herbert's feeding him again." He had like 5 targets. I mean, it wasn't a ton. I think Keenan Allen had more targets than him, but he did catch the touchdown, which really helped out his numbers. I do think Ladd McConkey is just slowly but surely getting back into this offense, trying to demand targets a little bit more because he was electric last year. So I think Quentin Johnson, Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen even is a solid start if you need for a flex option, but I think I'm starting Quentin Johnson and Ladd McConkey over Keenan Allen. Then Tua Tagovailoa, I think the defense for the Chargers is a little banged up, and I think Tua can take advantage. I mean, he's had some really solid performances over this year. He's only had a couple of big duds. So I think Tua, he's a solid, obviously offers little to no rushing upside, but does all of his work through the air. I think Tua can have a decent performance, especially with his number 1 receiver, Jalen Waddle, who was having a great day already. And then he gets the 45, 50-yard touchdown from Tua. So you already see Tua throwing the ball downfield to Waddle. He can absolutely burn anybody, as you can see. Didn't run the fastest 40, by the way. I think he ran like a 4.48 40 because he was a little hurt at the combine. But I promise you, I see 4.32 speed out there easily for Jalen Waddle.
He tried in the national championship against Ohio State. He got hurt in the Tennessee game and was trying to make it go and was in there for 2 plays and said this ain't happening. So he's clearly better than that 40 time that he had there. He's one of the fastest, most electric players I've ever seen, one of my favorite Alabama players ever.
Yeah. Now for the sits, Hassan Haskins. I love him as like a 6. I mean, he's huge. He's 6'2", 220. I mean, he's a big guy. I think he's going to be the primary back that they lean on for this Harbaugh offense. I think he will get the majority of the carries. But last week, it was split. It was 50-50 in terms of carries. Vidal had 50% of the carries, Hassan Haskins. And they both caught a couple of passes as well. I think Haskins is just a little bit better. I think Vidal offers more of like a change of pace, third down back. So I like Haskins a little bit more, but I'm staying away from either of them unless you absolutely have to start one of them. Oronde Gadsden, I'm really excited about him as a future guy, but he's just kind of – you just don't really know where his usage is in the offense. I mean, a couple of weeks ago he had a great day, 8 targets, I think, 50 yards, 60 yards, something like that. And then he's just kind of been in and out of the offense. Lower snap shares is just kind of weird. He's a big guy, very solid hands, very reliable jump ball target. So former wide receiver as well at Syracuse. So love me some Oronde Gadsden the second. His dad actually played for the Dolphins, funnily enough. Oronde Gadsden the first. So I'm going to sit him for now, but really like his outlook for the future for sure. Then Malik Washington, he had like 6 catches, I think, for 0 yards. They're trying to get him going. I saw his stat line. It was six receptions. That's all it was. 6 receptions. So Malik Washington, he's a guy that is at I forget where he went to college, at Tulane maybe, I don't remember. But Malik Washington, he was electric wherever he played at college and broke the record for his school and was just really, really good. I think he broke the conference record, and he was really good there. But he's just a guy that they're just trying to get him the ball, try to use that yak, and it just hasn't really translated that well. So staying away from him. Then Ollie Gordon. I love me some Ollie Gordon as like a big back that can get short yardage work and stuff like that. He's only relevant if he gets a touchdown, unfortunately. They've given the ball to Achane a ton. So staying away from Ollie Gordon for now.
Yeah, I like the start sits here. I mean, I
Nothing
think that
controversial yet.
you don't have Devon Achane there, but I think he's a trade candidate. I got a feeling that he's going to end up. Ironically, he was rumored again. I don't think this has any steam to it, but he was rumored for Green Bay. And I'll tell you what, you want to put Achane in the backfield with Josh Jacobs, bless my soul with it. Like, let's make that happen.
I don't think Achane would want to go there because
Why wouldn't he?
I don't know why the Packers would want him anyways. Jacobs has been great with the ball in his hands.
Well,
like he's probably been the best receiver, he's been in his whole career this far.
So I'll tell you this. Here's why I think he would do it. The only reason I could think Jacobs is in the middle of a 4-year deal. He's in second year of it. And the backups in Green Bay aren't lighting it up. Plus you're going to go into a offense where you won't be the lead back, and I think that the split backfield absolutely with those two would create such a disaster.
Yeah,
for
it's definitely really good
because you're going to have to account for them. It's not like a downgrade in speed or receiving ability. I mean, this is a guy. You might see some drives with him being the start. And Josh Jacobs coming in on third down and pass pro.
2-minute warning situations.
It would be a disaster to scheme it because you've got to account for a Devon Achane. You have to do it. You don't have to necessarily do it for Emmanuel Wilson. With all due respect.
I like Emmanuel Wilson now. I do like.
But who do you like better, Emmanuel Wilson or Devon Achane?
Achane, of course, but yeah,
hey, And the other reason why he would want to go is the Dolphins aren't winning football games. I think that locker room has had it with Mike McDaniels. I do. And
it looks like, I don't want to speculate, but like he's had some alcoholism issues in the past, and he's just on the podium and he's just super incoherent and just, I don't know if he's gotten back to it or not, but I mean, dude, I'm just saying I know he's not the most charismatic guy. He's very monotone, but like he can't even put sentences together, man. It's very interesting stuff because, a couple of years ago, when they were winning football games, number one offense in the NFL. It was just, he was able to speak. Now he's just like not able to speak. He's like, he's just, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't want to say it's that. I'm just saying that could be a possibility. And if that's the case, that's really bad. I know the Dolphins have kind of rioted against him a little bit. So curious to see how he does the rest of the season. Definitely on the hot seat here soon. So we'll go ahead and get on to the next matchup, which two teams coming off big wins. Patriots had a really good win this past weekend. The Saints, they ended up beating the Chargers. Who'd they beat? They beat the Chargers, right?
New Orleans?
Yeah, who'd they beat?
Yes. They got pounded against the Giants, and then they beat the LA Chargers.
Yeah. So, Patriots going on the road versus the Saints. And I know I asked you this last week. I actually asked some coworkers today. I was like, if you're the GM of the Saints, are you taking a quarterback number one overall with how good Spencer Rattler's playing? He's like top 10 in passing yards, has like 5-6 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's doing great this year. But the guy who has been playing great, Drake May. Drake May's been playing lights out football. I think New England's really putting it together at all facets of the game. I don't like their running back room right now because they're not playing Travion Henderson like I'd hoped they would. But I think the Patriots win this game, -3.5. I know the Saints are kind of going great because, fun fact, Spencer Rattler is the first quarterback drafted by the Saints to get them a win since 1998. It's a fun fact.
Well, Drew Brees wasn't drafted by them.
Yep. Neither was Derek Carr.
Thank God Miami didn't get Drew Brees because we would never got that Nick Saban era down there at Alabama. So shout out to that medical staffer in Miami who made the Alabama Dynasty happen. Talk about the epitome of a butterfly effect. I like the Saints here. I think the Patriots come off that high of that win in Buffalo.
I can see it.
Stephon Diggs had an amazing game last
Back
week.
to back, 100-yard games back to back.
He's been proving that he still has it. I mean, I was kind of skeptical on him.
Me too.
For the year he had in Houston, and then the way it fell apart in Buffalo, things along those sorts, and it might have been where you thought he might have been past it, but evidently he's proven that wrong, and good for him. I mean, he's got 4 children by 4 different women in the same calendar year. I don't know if that's an accomplishment, but that means that you're fit and you're taking care of yourself and 4 other people, and in that sense, you're definitely going to be able to make plays on the football field.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I do think that the Saints, Kamara's on the block. I think that they can cover that 3.5. Might be a game where they win. We're going to see the Patriots on the road now. Drake May going down there. And Saints fans might be vibing after their win last week. And,
yeah.
They get the crowd going down there. They're good football
Great
fans. And it was and Spencer Rattler hasn't been the Achilles heel to this football team. He's not turned it over. He's been pretty responsible. I think that they can. It would be funny if they made Ramondre Stevenson fumble the football, but nonetheless, I think the Saints cover here. Give me the Saints plus the hook.
All right, awesome, good stuff. I like both of these teams, man. I'm really rooting for. I would never have thought I would want to root for the Patriots, but here I am rooting for them, man. And then the Saints. Obviously, Mississippi guy, I'm going to root for the Saints unless they're against the Kansas City Chiefs, of course. But definitely like the Saints. I hope they win, 6 games this year. That would be an accomplishment, I think. But on to my starts. Drake May playing phenomenal football all year. I mean, I know he didn't have any touchdowns this past week. But, man, he's been playing great football. Really exciting stuff from him. I think he can have a day versus the Saints defense. So, starting him for sure. And at some point, I don't know what Travion Henderson did to the offensive coordinator. At some point, they got to start him. Okay? He's showing some really good stuff on the field when he gets the ball. His pass pro is phenomenal. Even in the games that I'm seeing him, he's got really good pass pro. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're just waiting on it. I know they're paying Ramondre. Maybe that has something to do with it. I know you spoke to that in the past. But I think Travion Henderson, he's got a big play in him at some point. I'm going to believe in him I'm going to give him 1 or 2 more weeks, I think, of starting him. I think this week. If he doesn't put up double-digit fantasy points this week, I think I'm going to move on from him for now. But I think with the 2 fumbles last week, I know he had the 2 touchdowns. Ramondre Stevenson has just not been the answer. I know he had the 2 touchdowns, but anybody could have scored those. And he averaged like 2 yards a carry. Again, got to go with Travion Henderson at some point, and I think this week might be the week. I've said this 3 weeks in a row. This is the last week I'm doing it. 3rd time's the charm with Travion, or I'm out on him. For now,
I think that's hold on. I think that might be the case because what people forget to realize is the business of the NFL. And when you sign a 4-year extension to a running back, you're not going to put him on the bench. And this dude's fumbled the ball, but then he had 2 touchdowns last week. And now with Antonio Gibson out there, I think you might see some more carries for Travion. But I'm telling you right now, I'm preaching the unpopular gospel that he is not taking that starting job this year. Unless there's an injury. I'm convinced. I think that the reason that running backs sit the bench, the number one reason, is they don't do pass pro. And maybe there's something with Josh McDaniels and him to where he doesn't feel comfortable putting him out there in situations. It's what I'm saying. And they'd rather just take the risk of Ramondre. I think that the Butterfingers are over, though. I do. I think that last week he got those 2 touchdowns. He's a pretty efficient runner when he's on. I mean, he is getting a little bit older, and I know we're talking in fantasy terms here, but I think that Ramondre still got the ball the rest of the year. It's his to lose, and I think he's got to royally screw it up to lose it. Even though the fans are screaming to high heavens, New England's 3-2, so just hold on to your butts.
And they've lost 2 games because of the fumbles. I know they weren't in it in one of those games, but I mean,
the Steelers game they should have won. The Steelers game was on him with 2 fumbles inside the 5-yard line. but I think that that's like when you bottom out, And then when you look at the fumble he had last week, it was just a punch from behind when he was falling down. I think they gave him some grace there. They benched him for a couple series, but then when Gibson got hurt, Ramondre was out there returning kicks. Why wasn't Trey? Like there's something there's something going on.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels, I don't know. Maybe Travion was doing some stuff with Josh McDaniels' wife or something behind the scenes. I mean, it's got to be something.
I'm not going to go that far. I just think it's pass pro more than anything else.
I can't see that happening because I've seen him all throughout the preseason. He was the best pass pro back in college last year. And even when he takes snaps at pass pro, I mean, he's just been phenomenal at it. So I don't know what it is, man. I've watched his pass pro reps this year because you brought that up a couple weeks ago. You said there was a rumor about him struggling in pass pro. So I was like, let me look at his film. And I've been very impressed with him. So I'm just very curious to see what it is. Maybe they're holding him for later on in the season because I know he's got some durability concerns throughout college. So maybe that's it. I'm not sure, but we'll move on from Travion Henderson. One more week of him underperforming, and I'm going to sit him for a considerable amount of time. But Stephon Diggs, got to start him now. Back-to-back 100-yard games, been targeted through the roof. Drake May just seems to love this guy. Very reliable hands, solid yak ability, even though he's coming off an ACL tear. So Stephon Diggs, I think he's a very solid flex option right now. Even a wide receiver 2. I mean, he's putting on wide receiver 2 numbers right now. So Spencer Rattler, I think at some point he's got to be your QB2. I'd start him over guys like, I might start him over Darnold, man. I'd start him over Geno Smith, absolutely. Start him over any of the backups like Joe Flacco, Carson Wentz. I'd start him over J.J. McCarthy. I'd start him over probably 10 quarterbacks, 10, 15 quarterbacks right now. I mean, I think Spencer Rattler's been doing great this year. So definitely like him as a QB2 option. And Chris Olave, he's a guy that I was hating on all offseason. I thought he was overpriced in Dynasty. I thought he was overpriced in Fantasy. He's been very underwhelming outside of last week, and then he started getting a lot of catches. I mean, I played against him last week, so of course he was going to get a ton of catches. I ended up winning regardless, but still, of course. So Chris Olave, I think he's going to get a ton of targets, whether or not he gets any much yardage, I'm not sure. But Chris Olave, I'm going to start him. He'll probably get 8 catches for 40 yards or something like that, which is a very safe floor for him. Then for the sits, Juwan Johnson's been slowly fading out of relevance right now with the emergence of Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed and Brandon Cooks even. So, he's kind of lower on the totem pole than he was a few weeks ago when he was catching a bunch of targets. He just haven't targeted him as much because of Taysom Hill returning. And you see both of those guys are on my sit list. Juwan Johnson, I like the talent. I like what he brings in the red zone. But I feel like he's got they just broke one. North Texas broke one. But Juwan Johnson, I think he's just a sit for me right now. And Rashid Shaheed, he caught like an 80-yard bomb. He has to do that if he was going to stay relevant. He's just not going to do that every single week. It's just not going to happen. So Rashid Shaheed is a boom or bust wide receiver 3 at this point at the very best. So staying away from him if you have better options. Then Taysom Hill, last week, his first game back, he looked really rusty coming off that major injury. They tried to use him a lot in, the QB run game. They used him as a tight end a little bit, and he just did not look very good at all. I mean, he looked really slow. He looked really just kind of old and withered, man. I mean, he is older. He's coming off a big-time injury. Maybe he's shaking off that rust. I do like that they tried to get him the ball and get him involved again. But, yeah, right now I just got to see him shake that rust off and be relevant again, or else I'm staying away from him for now. Pop Douglas, he's been irrelevant all year. He's a guy that I was excited about as like a slot gadget guy, but he just hasn't been much this year. And then Kayshon Boutte had a really great start to the season, then just kind of faded out because Stephon Diggs is the guy now, apparently. So Boutte is a guy that I'm sitting unless I want to get, 8-9 points out of my flex spot.
Yeah, that's a good start to sit them. I think that Rashid Shaheed and Alvin Kamara are actually on the trade block.
Absolutely.
So, and Olave. I mean, I think that they're gonna. I'd heard there might be some teams calling about that. I think that some of these teams are just not going to wait until the deadline and just start making your move now, which makes more sense. Just
you need wins. Teams that need wins, they got to. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs. Even though I like what our rookie from SMU. What's his name? former receiver. I can't think of his name right now, but I liked him, Brashard Smith. I liked what he put on tape last week. Even though we lost, he was really good in the times that they targeted him. He's kind of like an Alvin Kamara. He just doesn't break tackles as well. So I don't think the Chiefs are in the market for a running back. I don't think they're in the market for a receiver either because, I mean, next week, Rashee Rice comes back, and we have Xavier Worthy. We have Rashee Rice. I mean, we've got a ton of options. Tyquan Thornton's been playing great. So I don't think we would be trading for anything. I don't think you guys would be trading for a wide receiver because y'all have probably more wide receivers than anybody right now, relevant wide receivers. And then Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson, I think, is a great tandem. So, yeah, I don't know who would be trading for running backs right now. Maybe the Chicago Bears could trade for Alvin Kamara. I think that's a good weapon for Ben Johnson. But outside of that, I don't know who would take Rashid Shaheed right now or Chris Olave. I mean, some wide receiver needy teams maybe.
Good stuff.
All right, so let's go ahead and get to the next one. Almost got 10 viewers right now, guys. Just want to take a quick break real quick just to let you guys know. On YouTube, on X, you guys got start-sit questions for us. Just shoot them in the chat, man. We'll answer any questions, any lineup things, any trade ideas, anything like that. Just shoot us a message, man. We'll answer them live on the show. But next up, interesting matchup here. We've got the Cleveland Browns going on the road to play the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I like the Browns as a 5.5-point underdog here. Dylan Gabriel really surprised me last week. I liked him as a prospect. I thought he offered like some Case Keenum type of vibes with him. A quarterback that started forever, has a ton of experience, wasn't going to put the ball in harm's way, and he didn't until the last play of the game with the Hail Mary. Whatever, then interception's meaningless to me. But he looked really good last week. He made a lot of really good throws, was really smart with the football, used his legs a decent amount. And Quinshon Judkins just continued to be an animal. Love what he's putting on tape. And then the defense is the Browns' defense. We all know it's amazing. And the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers just hasn't really been doing too much the past 2-3 weeks. He hasn't really done much of anything since the Jets game where he put up 4 touchdowns. Outside of that, he's been pretty much underwhelming for me. And the run game hasn't been that great, right? It's just, for me, Kenneth Gainwell went crazy, right? He plays for the Steelers, right? I think. Kenneth Gainwell had a crazy day for the Steelers. Let me just make sure Kenneth Gainwell. I'm losing it over here.
While you're looking at that, fun fact, can you name the last year that the Browns played the Steelers and beat them in Pittsburgh that wasn't the playoff game with Baker Mayfield? You just want to take a stab at it?
The Browns are a really terrible franchise, so I'd probably say the last time I think they went really deep in the playoffs and won a lot of wins was 83, so I'm going to say 83.
No, 2003. It hasn't been that.
Well, the Browns are terrible, man. You could have told me 70, and I would have completely agreed with you.
I think that the Browns made some real interesting moves. I thought that dealing Joe Flacco for the pick was a smart play.
So good.
It's good because it shows that, look, the Browns, I thought they might have been bringing Deshaun Watson back. Might have been what was good, that play there. And just to get something for Flacco, who's 41 years old, and clearly on his last legs. And it also shows that since that's not the case with Deshaun Watson, in fact, I think they're just going to pay him to sit the bench. I don't think he plays this season. And I think the Browns are just going to absorb that cap hit, unfortunately for them. But they're in a spot here where Dylan Gabriel played really solid football against the Vikings, and Carson Wentz played even better, amazingly, which is kind of crazy. But it really goes to show that the coaching matters in Minnesota. That's a plug-and-play quarterback offense, which is wild to say about any football team. So shout out to the Vikings.
Kevin O'Connell is a quarterback guru, man. I mean, he had Nick Mullins doing crazy stuff. Josh Dobbs did crazy stuff. I mean, it was just – he makes every quarterback look great outside of J.J. McCarthy.
But I think that the Browns are showing with Dylan Gabriel that they're putting a boost of confidence in him now.
Yeah.
Big story's been, well, Shedeur Sanders is number 2. Who gives a shit?
He was named the QB2 today, so.
I'm going to say this, and people just get up in arms about it, but Shador Sanders was coached by his father his entire life. High school, Jackson State, Colorado. In Colorado, he had Travis Hunter with him. And without that piece of the puzzle, there's a reason he fell that far, and I'm convinced it's because he doesn't have his head screwed on correctly all the way. And it shows in his interviews the immaturity. You can't lead an NFL franchise and be like that. You have to be. You have to be the CEO of your football team. And Dylan Gabriel's not the biggest guy and doesn't have all the electric tools like everybody else and things of that sort. But you could see the Browns rally around him. You could see him going out there and laying out and making plays to try and win his first game on the road. This is another road game for the Browns. So this dude hasn't even had a start, in Cleveland yet. He's got to go to the arch nemesis Pittsburgh Steelers, who have put, belt to ass to the Cleveland Browns all this time. I think the Browns' game plan going here should be just to give the ball to Quinshon Judkins, who's clearly proven that he can be a 3-down back, which is really hard to get that bell cow status when it comes to football. I mean, you got Jerry Jeudy out there. You can throw the ball to him. I think Cedric Tillman's going to be back this week. There's a lot of options to attack a Steelers team now. We're speculating that the Steelers might trade Pat Freiermuth, which I think they should, because I was advocating for Darnell Washington throughout the draft. I was hoping the Packers would take him. Big 6'7" red zone beast who blocks like an offensive lineman, just an absolute unit of a person. I mean, big old Georgia Bulldog, number 0 when he was there, just big human being. I think he's a better option offensively for Aaron Rodgers. And, DK Metcalf, is he going to be able to snap off again? Are the Steelers going to be able to repeat the performances that they've had? I mean, they're still the front runners in the AFC North. And I think that this game will be super close. I will definitely take the Cleveland Browns and the points here. Not exactly a premier matchup on the schedule this week, but it is an AFC North matchup. So Bobby stepped away just so you guys know he has kids he has to take care of sometimes, and that is okay. We got 11 viewers. I want to take a moment to thank you guys for joining Cover 2 Cash. We do this show every Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We've already went over our college football picks. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 200 subs. I'm so close. I appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. And let me know in the comments, whether it's on X or whether it's here, if you've got any suggestions on the show, anything that you think we should be talking about, any critiques, any praise, any of that stuff works. But like I said, this is an AFC North matchup, and the AFC North is an absolute disaster. It's a train wreck. The Steelers have come out all right, but the Ravens have absolutely fallen off a cliff. The Browns have had their struggles, but they'll be better with the quarterback and the Bengals. We'll get to them in a little bit. But like I was telling Bobby, I think that the Browns could cover the points here.
Me too.
Like I was saying,
I think they could outright win, man.
Sure they could, but it's they may be thinking about trading Pat Freiermuth, is what I kind of heard. And I love Darnell Washington as a player, man, big time.
Yeah, he was really solid last week, man. He got a lot of snaps. I want to say he played like 75-80% of the snaps last week. So, really good stuff. So, Dylan Gabriel, I think he's a solid start. I mean, he showed it last week. I was really, really impressed with him. So, really liked what he put on film last week. I think he can get you 20 points here versus the Steelers defense, surprisingly enough. Quinshon Judkins. I mean, you have to start him. I mean, if he's your RB1, I wouldn't feel bad about it. He's been electric for the past 4 weeks. I want to say he might lead all rookies in rushing yards right now after this weekend, of course. I think Scadaboo leads them right now. Maybe, I'm not sure. But Judkins has been playing fantastic football. So, love what he puts on tape. Harold Fenton Jr., I think he's a guy that, he caught a touchdown last week. Four catches, I think. 12 yards and a touchdown. He's a guy that they're just going to get the ball every single week. He's playing wide receiver basically as the tight end position, so love his upside every single week. He's a cheat code at the position. Jaylen Warren, he's back from injury. I do think Kenneth Gainwell did earn a little bit more touches with how electric he was, but I do think Jaylen Warren, he's going to get the majority of the touches. He's really good. We'll see how he does coming off the injury. I think he'll be solid enough to where he can get you 10 to 15 points fairly easily. but we will see because he catches all the passes. Then DK Metcalf, I think he's good for a couple of big catches a game, and that's just enough for him to be relevant in your flex spot. I think he's good for 10 to 12 with the upside of getting a touchdown out of nowhere like he's been doing the past couple weeks. Then for the sits, Jerry Jeudy, man, he's just been kind of like the underwhelming wide receiver of the year so thus far, and I don't think it's necessarily his fault. I think it's because, the offense just hasn't really utilized him that well for the Browns. And last week, Gabriel came in. I thought he might get boosted up because of the upgraded quarterback play because Flacco was so bad. 2 catches, 2 targets, 2 catches, I think 13 yards. So they're going to have to get him involved. Right now, I'm staying away from Jerry Jeudy. I got a guy desperately trying to trade him away, and nobody wants him. I just got to see a big game from him first. Last year I looked at a lot of his tape because, he had a breakout year last year. Just love the tape. Love what he does with the ball in his hands. He's super fast and explosive, but he's just a guy you got to stay away from because he's not getting the volume. And Isaiah Bond, I like him as a player, super fast, explosive guy as well, but he's just not getting the targets. So we got to wait and see what Dylan Gabriel ends up favoriting at the wide receiver position because right now we don't know. So staying away from the wide receivers for now until we get a good read on who Gabriel's liking.
If you look at a screenshot here of all those Browns players, regardless of start and sit, it's a better group than what they've got in Pittsburgh. Hands down. I like all the players. Isaiah Bond, obviously a little sore spot for leaving Alabama for Texas, but the talent's still there. Good for him for getting out of his legal troubles and getting on the football field. The same thing with Judkins. Had a legal issue, went out there and started performing. I made a trade for Bond in one of the leagues because of his target share was pretty solid. I think that he'll be better than Cedric Tillman.
He's super young, too.
Good start-sit list there. Real good one.
Yeah, so we'll move on to Aaron Rodgers. He's just been kind of showing what he did with the Jets last year. I don't want to say it was Aaron Rodgers all along, but the way he plays football, very safe, very controlled, low risk, and that just ends up with him getting 180 to 200 passing yards, a touchdown, and an interception. That's just what he does. So very, very low floor, low ceiling type of quarterback. So I'm staying away from Aaron Rodgers. I just don't think he puts up the numbers that he used to, and he's just there to keep the ball out of harm's way more than he is to make plays, I think, unless DK Metcalf gets open downfield. Caleb Johnson, he had his most carries this past week. He had 6 carries. I think they're trusting him a little bit more and more each week. I loved what he put on tape at Iowa last year, but he's just a guy you got to wait until he gets the majority of the carries before he gets relevant, and Jaylen Warren's just a guy that's going to stay relevant for now, especially with Kenneth Gainwell playing how well he did last week. I think Caleb Johnson's firmly the RB3 in this offense for now. And Roman Wilson, he was one of the guys that I was like, hey, you could take a swing on this guy for a third-round pick, and he could do something because the Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver room's been so poor outside of DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin's been really great, but he's out this weekend. Need to mention that. But Roman Wilson thought he might be a guy that would get a lot of touches. He hasn't gotten many targets at all, not many opportunities whatsoever. So unfortunate for Roman Wilson. Liked him at Michigan, but yeah, that's the start sits for this game.
Yeah, pretty solid list there, like I said earlier. Just hopefully Isaiah Bond can pick something up, but
I think he can get 4 catches, I think, for sure.
It would just be good for the Browns fans to have some stability at quarterback. I'm not a Browns fan at all, but man, I it's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. I don't think that your franchise is cursed in that position. I just think that I know a lot of Browns fans that would hear this would probably hang me from a tree if I told them this, but Jimmy Haslam tried with Deshaun Watson. He tried. He tried to go get a quarterback that was proven and knew the legal ramifications and went all in on him, and it just didn't work out. Sometimes you got to swing for the fences because you care about your football team and you care about your community. But they have drafted really well. They traded Greg Newsome down there to Jacksonville, which I thought was interesting, but they might, be trying to figure some things out because the Watson cap hit is just going to be a whopper, man. They're just going to have to live with it and peel the Band-Aid off.
Nobody's taking him. He was one of the worst quarterbacks when he played.
And I know they don't want to hear this too, but next year you're going to have 2 first-round picks.
Yep.
I mean, the Jaguars are playing well, so your pick might not be in the top
I
half.
loved the trade. I loved the Browns trade to trade back for Travis Hunter. The Jags could get Travis Hunter. I mean, I like Travis Hunter. I thought he was the number 1 player in the draft, but if you're getting that much, and the Browns have been drafting the way that they've been drafting, take the picks, man, because 5 good players are better than 1 great player. Even if it's a guy like Travis Hunter who can be good on both sides of the ball. It's just, it just is what it is. So I love that trade for the Browns. So I'm excited about their future. But now we get into some Dallas Cowboys going on the road to play the Carolina Panthers, and they're still hard to kind of understand, the Panthers. They can go out there and suck, and they can go out there and shut out the Falcons. I mean, I'm just not sure what we got going on. Rico Dowdle, wow. We'll talk about him in a moment.
Did you see the highlights of the announcer for that game?
I did not. I was unfortunately not watching this game because I don't watch Panthers football very much.
Okay, I'm gonna pull it up. Go ahead and do your breakdown real quick because I gotta find it because it was hilarious.
Dak Prescott is a guy that, man, he has been playing some MVP level football over the course of 5 weeks. I mean, he's just been playing great football. I know he had a underwhelming couple of games here and there, but I mean, as in terms of just getting the football where it needs to be, playing smart, playing efficient, making some really good throws, I think Dak Prescott's been amazing. I do think the Cowboys win this game. CD is not playing this week. Unfortunately, I have him in a few leagues. But despite that, I do think that they can come out with a win. The Panthers are just way too volatile for me. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys, who have been steady and consistent in their performances throughout the first 5 weeks of the season.
I want to be able to all right, before I go over this, I do like the Panthers getting 3.5 at home here. Dallas' offensive line is just, it's something, man. I mean, but Dak Prescott is showing that he can still play this game, that he can still go ballistic and, can turn it on at any moment. And his career is definitely not over. Cowboys fans that want to run him out of there, they better have a good explanation for who they want to replace him with. I'm just going to put that out
It's
there.
not Joe Milton. I'm just saying it's not Joe Milton.
So I'm going to pull this up here.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, let's see here. All right, you can see this?
Yes, I can.
Okay, you ready? Just take a listen. This dude was going off.
Has Waddle! He's open! Touchdown! And Donald, look at him! What kind of speed do you get, young man? To the end zone. Achan, did he? He did! Look at this! Donald! Still on his feet! Caught back in the end zone! Xavier Liga! Tungo Bailoa! Got his man! Touchdown! Waller!
Oh, my goodness.
Caught! It's Horn! Bryce Young!
Dude, that's what we need.
Touchdown!
Is he the Panthers guy?
Hold on. So that guy absolutely, he does the Charlotte Hornets. All right.
Okay.
And for me, when you're super excited,
I love that.
It has to be right for me. Like, I've been a Gus Johnson critic, and I remember when he was just absolutely calling Ohio State games, and he would say, he tried to call Marvin Harrison Maserati Marv like 50 times, and I was ready to turn that shit off in the Michigan game. I don't like his style because I think he gets too excited. But those highlights with that dude screaming at the right times, like, people were commenting on it, how ridiculous it was. Like, he needs to be full-time NFL. But when his voice squeaked, when he said, Daryl!
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that so much. I think there needs to be more of that. Honestly, I think there needs to be more of that in the NFL because...
Well, he was consistent, though, along both sides when it was about, a big play. It didn't matter what team it was. He didn't show any kind of homerism. But it was entertaining for sure, like, especially for two teams that a lot of people don't really care to watch on a national stage. 2 former
Do we
Alabama
know the
quarterbacks.
status of him calling more games? Because I think he's earned it, man. I love that.
I don't know. I think that it was just funny because he does the Hornets, so that's a lot. That's a big gig there when you're doing basketball.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're constantly on the road, but funny stuff, good stuff.
Yeah, I love that. That was a really good share for sure. I love that. So, all right. So let's go ahead and get to the start sits of this game because I do think there are some interesting things going on here. So I do think Bryce Young's a start. He's been playing pretty consistently over the past, week or two now. He's got to figure it out. I mean, he's been consistent in terms of not turning over the football as much. We just got to see more. He had that great performance versus the Falcons. We just got to see it more. I think versus the Cowboys, their defense is pretty bad. So I do like Bryce Young here to start as my QB2. I wouldn't feel super bad about it. And Ted McMillan's just a guy, he's going to get 5-6 catches a game at the minimum, probably 60, 70 yards. So love Ted McMillan. Every time the games are on, you just see Ted McMillan made a big play on Sleeper for 23, 25, 28 yards. Same thing with JSN. I mean, these guys are just catching bombs all over the place. So actually I have a Ted McMillan breakdown coming very soon. Should have that out next Monday, hopefully, if everything goes right. So excited to show my opinions on Ted McMillan. And then Dak Prescott, like I said, playing very good football this year, I think, versus this Carolina Panthers defense, who's been a little underrated this year. I do think he can get something going against them and have a decent fantasy performance. Javonte Williams, CeeDee Lamb got ruled out today, like 2 or 3 hours ago. We'll talk about him in a minute. So obviously he's not going to be a start for me. It's actually going to be George Pickens. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But Javonte Williams, I think he's a slam dunk start. I mean, if he's your RB1, he's been playing phenomenally. I think he's the RB4 or 5 right now. He's coming off a 3-touchdown performance. Can catch the ball, run the ball. I mean, he's been super physical, getting extra yardage. I mean, he's just been breaking off big runs all over the place for 15, 20 yards. So very big surprise from Javonte. I'm really glad to see the former Tar Heel going crazy. Now, CD obviously got rolled out, so I'm going to move George Pickens over to the start side in this situation. So George Pickens is probably one of the better starts for your wide receiver 2 of anybody because while CD's out, I mean, Dak Prescott's just targeting him, man, and he's just been very consistent over the last 2 weeks because of that, because of CD being out. And if I had to replace anybody, I think Turpin's out or he's questionable. Probably the only other guy that I would feel comfortable sitting from this Dallas Cowboys offense is probably Jalen Tolbert, one of the other wide receivers. I think George Pickens the only guy that I would feel comfortable starting. And then the rest of the sits, I think Rico Dowdle, since Chuba Hubbard's coming back, I just don't think he's going to reproduce that, guys. I like Rico Dowdle. He probably earns a lot more snaps now because of that great performance. 200-yard performance from Rico Dowdle, absolutely mind-blowing. But I think Chuba's going to come back in. He's been their workhorse. I think they're going to have a little bit of a 60-40 backfield with Chuba Hubbard getting the 60 and Dowdle getting the 40. We'll see. But staying away from Dowdle for now just because Chuba's out again this week.
Chuba's out. CeeDee Lamb is out. So,
well, if that's the case, man, this slide's all the way messed up. Huh. Okay. Well, Rico Dowdle's probably a start then, but I know Jaden Blue's another guy I wouldn't start. He's been a bust, really, in my opinion.
It's unfortunate because Miles Sanders broke his leg. I bet Miles Sanders was looking forward to this game a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So Rico Dowdle, probably a start with Chuba being out, so we'll see. But Jalen Coker, this is first game back, I believe. I think the practice window opened for him Monday, so we'll see if he ends up playing. If he does, I'm still staying away from him. Leggett actually caught his first touchdown of the year last week. I think 4 or 5 yards.
Highlight.
Yeah. So
that was a hell of a throw too. Bryce put that ball where only he can get it. So that was just
great. Leggett is a super athlete, can jump really high and high point that football if he needs to. So, I mean, maybe that earns him a little bit more more targets. I'm not sure, but Yeah, Leggett, I'm staying away from until he's a little bit more consistent. Didn't really get that much targets. He just got the touchdown to hype up his numbers. And then JT Sanders, he should be ready to go this game. I know he was hurt. He's been banged up the past couple of weeks. I'm still staying away from him for now. I'm staying away from pretty much all the pass catchers outside of Ted McMillan. They have, the guy from Notre Dame, the tight end. I'm staying away from him too. So, yeah, all these guys. I think Pickens can be a start though. Dowdle as well.
Nice.
It was Ferguson. Didn't have him on here, but Ferguson, he's another guy that's at this point. You got to start, right? So. Next up, another solid matchup. We got the Seattle Seahawks going on the road to play the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have been on a heater. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs last week, had a couple of really big-time mistakes from the Chiefs to really give them that game because they weren't really playing the best football until the second half, and we threw the pick six. And Chris Jones didn't want to play football in the fourth quarter, so that was awesome. But Jacksonville, 4-1, playing great football, winning when they need to win. And the Seahawks, they've been playing really good football and not winning. So opposite ends of the spectrum here. I do like the Jaguars, though, at home. Seattle's got to go literally all the way across the country. So I like Jacksonville here, -1.5.
Yeah, I think that's the right play also just due to the travel. Jacksonville's coming off that high with that huge win against Kansas City. Could be a letdown spot here, but nonetheless, I think that Jacksonville's kind of getting their rhythm going on. ETN didn't have a great game, but you could see him out back. It's just those kinds
Rushing
of things.
defense is really good for the Chiefs.
I think that Seattle is eventually going to trade Tyreek Woolen, and that's somebody that I think that the Packers should go get because they definitely need help in the secondary, and he would absolutely be a massive upgrade going on there. So. Yeah, I definitely think that Jacksonville can pull this out and be 5-1. 5-1. And the AFC South has turned into just something ridiculous.
Yeah.
It really has. It's just turned
what a start for Liam Cohen, man. People were a little interested on how, they had the week where he was doing this to Trevor Lawrence and put it on his chest. We thought there might be a little bit of turmoil there between the quarterback and the coach. We didn't know how his offense was going to look. 5-1 now through 6 weeks. It's been really rolling on offense. The defense has been good. They didn't have their first-round pick, what's his name, Trevon Walker, for that Chiefs game, and they still ended up coming out with a W. So, yeah, I think the Jaguars are definitely trending up. Good to see them, another Southern team really, have success. So, there's only two people. What's up?
It's not the NFC South.
Yeah. So there's only two players on the Seahawks that I would really feel comfortable starting. It's Sam Darnold, who has just been playing great football, even if he's not getting the wins. He threw 4 touchdowns, did throw the interception that cost them the game, but he still threw 4 touchdowns, been playing great football. He's going to the same system. He's been in the same system 3 years now. So love Sam Darnold. Love Jackson Smith and Jigba. He is just – people were doing the same thing that they were doing with Marvin Harrison Jr. They were like, he's a bust. He's a first-round bust receiver because he only had like 700 or 800 yards in his rookie season. Then he goes out there, has a great 1,200-yard season last year, and now he's on pace to go for like 1,400 this year. So Jackson Smith and Jigba, great player, phenomenal yak ability. Not the most explosive guy, but with the ball in his hands, he's really incredible. So love Jackson Smith and Jigba. Trevor Lawrence, I'm a little hesitant to start him, but he showed me enough last week to where he's making some good throws. He's able to get the ball in the end zone with his legs if he needs to. That's something I did a Trevor Lawrence breakdown and was like, man, this is a guy that can get you 4 or 5 rushing touchdowns a year at the very minimum. So Trevor Lawrence, I like him just for the rushing upside for now. Maybe he can get something going versus this Seattle defense. We'll see. But as a QB2, that's somebody I wouldn't hate to start right now. Travis Etienne, I know he's coming off the bad game versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs just have a really good run defense. Nobody's really been able to do very much versus him outside of Cam Scadaboo, of course. What a year he's having. But Travis Etienne, I think he's good enough to start. He's still an RB1 for me in fantasy. I think he's been phenomenal. And Brian Thomas Jr. finally had a decent game. I think he had 80 yards last week. had a couple of big-time catches. I think versus the Seahawks, he could have another kind of breakout game where he can probably catch a 40, 50-yard bomb for a touchdown. They've really been missing the big play to him, so I think they'll start getting that going here shortly. And then for the sits, Cooper Kupp, outside of the first week, has been widely irrelevant. So staying away from Cooper Kupp. He's just kind of been – I mean, with JSN there's not much target volume to go around because JSN just gets all the targets. A.J. Barner, he's a guy. He just had 2 touchdowns last week. I think he's a little bit of a bait guy right now. I'm staying away from him for now because Elijah Arroyo is still there, their second-round pick at tight end. He hasn't done much either. I just don't know how sustainable that target share is with A.J. Barner. And then Sharps and Kenneth Walker. I only put Kenneth Walker here, but I'm going to do both of them. They're just in too much of a split backfield. They take away Walker's goal line work, so Walker has to break off a big run for a touchdown to get a decent fantasy performance because I think he's got 80, 90 yards rushing, but no touchdowns. That's just the thing that he's been doing. And that's only 9 points. Maybe of 10 points if he gets a catch, but that's been Sharps, and he's gotten all the goal line work, so it really caps Kenneth Walker's ceiling. So I'm staying away from the running backs because Sharps might get 8 carries for 35 yards and a touchdown. Kenneth Walker gets 15 for 80 and no touchdown. So it's like it's a double-edged sword. Neither one of the guys are going to be relevant, and that's how it's been pretty much all year. Travis Hunter, he had a really big-time catch versus the Chiefs. I mean, that's just been his calling card his whole career. It's just the ball skills. He can just really make some phenomenal circus catches and just pluck the ball out of the air where nobody else can get it. But Travis Hunter, we just don't know what he's doing on offense yet because we've seen him a lot more on defense. We've seen him a lot more on offense. They've just kind of been playing with him in these kind of a chess piece that Liam Cohen's been using all over the ball. So he's just a guy that I'm staying away from for now because we don't know if he's going to be primarily offense or not. We just need a lot bigger sample size to really feel comfortable starting him. And last but not least, Bashal Tutin. I think he's only good if he breaks off a big-time run. He has the speed to do that, but I'm just not really certain on how much volume he's going to get. And if you're having to make a big play to be relevant in fantasy, I'm staying away from you.
Yeah, that's always a smart approach. If they're not fantasy relevant, you don't want to start them. Travis Hunter, I think that you may have some opportunities here because they're going to force feed him. He's the number 2 overall pick. They put a lot of draft capital on him. I think any Jaguar is pretty much safe, except for Tootin at this point. I'm not big on Kenneth Walker. I never have been. I mean, the dude just can't stay healthy, and Jaguars defense can get after it. I mean, they still got great guys up front with Walker and Smith and what's his name, Hines Allen. And I agree with the sits. That's a pretty good list there. Keep on trucking.
Right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get to the next one. No, we're not, because we're going to talk about our sponsor, Cut, real quick. So if you've watched the show for a while, you know all about Cut. It's a social betting platform, so it's peer-to-peer betting. So if you're in a state like I am, Mississippi, who it's basically illegal to sports bet unless you are in a casino, so you can't sports bet on your phone, unfortunately. This is an app that I can put any bets that I want out there, and anybody that's on Cut can take that bet and match it. So it's very consistent, very easy to use. So if you guys use Cover 2 Cash during sign up, you deposit a little bit of money, they'll give you a $50 deposit bonus on top of that. So very good stuff there. And the coolest thing, we haven't had it happen just yet, but if you guys want to send us bets, any of our bets, any of our takes that you don't like, you can send Bobby's Big Board or Justin Paul Sports. You can look us up on Cut. That's our names. You can send us a bet on Cut. And we'll take the whatever side we believe in. You can take the opposite side, and we'll see who ends up winning money. You can take some of our money maybe. So love Cut. Anything you want to add to Cut? I mean, we've been killing it on Cut. I have anyways. I've only got one loss, and it's to you.
That's right. It's because I got a little bit more tenure than you, Bobby. I'm just kidding.
That's fair.
But like Cut's been great. They're, like he said, they're based in the United States, so you're not betting offshore, which I know for some people can absolutely be, a questionable thing when you can't get what you're wanting to do from your phone. I'm just going to share the screen real quick, just so you guys can see what Cut looks like. You need to follow them on X right here, and I'll just kind of go over their platform. So it's Cut Bet. at KUTT Bet, and they got some good stuff on there. I mean, they're obviously promoting some of my stuff on here, and then they ask questions like, if you're the Eagles and you had to trade one of the following, which would it be? Jalen Hurts or Devontae Smith or AJ Brown? And it's a fun social site, But you can also do some other stuff on Cut. You don't just have to bet on sports. You can bet on all kinds of other stuff here. I'm going to see if I can find a post real quick. So here's breaking. Derek Groves caught by today in Atlanta. So the bet was all those prisoners that escaped from New Orleans. Will he be caught before Halloween? So, yes, cashed because they caught him a couple days ago. So, and then they just retweet all this fun stuff. It's amazing. You can bet on pretty much anything at Cut. It's some of the funniest stuff that's out there. And they're active on there.
Oh, absolutely.
They're talking about what the hell was this decision with LeBron James and stuff like that. And good following, great sports book. It's great. Bet on anything. Bet on politics. Bet on prison escapees. UFC. Just kind of going through what they got here for you. But it's a real great site. If it wasn't for them, Steven Garcia. Oh, yep. You can bet on how long Diddy gets behind bars. So it looks like he got 4 years, but I don't see if anybody made the wager in time. And that's the thing, you got to be able to go to cut.com, play.cut.com, and that's how you get signed up there. But it is mostly sports. And then there'll be times like
you can bet on any type of sport. They have it all broke out. So you can click on whatever sports you want to bet on. You can see all the public bets that are available, make your own bet. It's a really cool, smooth, sleek-looking app as well, so it's very easy to use if you're not super experienced in sports betting. If you want to just get your feet wet, this is a really good place to do it.
Yeah, good stuff there. I encourage everybody to use Cut. It's our sponsor.
Yeah.
But with that being said, let us go on to our next game. Thank you, Cut.
So here is two teams that are on the opposite ends of the spectrum right now. The Rams, I know they're coming off a tough loss to the 49ers, but outside of that have been looking great. And the Ravens, Lamar Jackson is out once again this week. Cooper Rush is playing, and Cooper Rush was horrible last week. 3 picks, no touchdowns. The Rams are 7.5-point favorites for a reason. I'm going to take the Rams here, even though the Ravens are at home.
Yeah, I am too. I'm not buying anything the Ravens do. Besides that Week 1 performance, Derrick Henry's been pretty average. I think they've cleaned up the turnover issues. Where's Zay Flowers been? Where's Mark Andrews been? Where's Rashad Bateman been? What are they doing offensively that makes you say, man, I'm going to take the Ravens, especially without Lamar? Yeah. I think the Rams beat their ass. I think this is a 2-touchdown butt whipping in Baltimore. The Boo Birds are going to be out for sure. I think this game gets ugly. I mean, the Rams are clicking. You got Stafford.
Offensively, they're really clicking.
Kyron Williams is going to knife this defense up. The Ravens' defense is the worst in the NFL. Hands down the worst. They're giving up 40-something points, it seems, every game.
Yeah,
They can't get off the field. They can't. I mean.
And guess who's leading the NFL in passing yards right now?
Is it Stafford?
It's Stafford. And he's second in the NFL in passing touchdowns right now. He is going crazy. And I think Stafford, I mean, he's got the experience. He's not going to be fazed by this. They just traded away their best edge rusher. I do like Mike Green, but Odafe Owe was definitely the best edge rusher that they had right now until Mike Green develops. So, yeah, we're both on the same side of the coin here, man, because this bad. Ravens defense, I mean, they have a ton of stars. They got Kyle Hamilton. They've got, Marlon Humphreys. I mean, I know Matt Adikwe's been out, and he's going to be out all year. But
Roquan
Patrick
Smith
Queen
is out.
Yeah, Roquan Smith, not Patrick Queen.
He's not playing this week.
Yeah, so it's like
when your best linebacker is not playing, you got plenty of opportunity to run the football.
Yep.
Make that secondary come down to you. Just hit him with a play action. You can hit Nakua. I bet Nakua has the day of days this weekend.
He's been having the day of days all year.
Yeah, he's just been something else. I didn't know that train was going to stay going like that, but I've got to take my slice of humble pie there.
I told people 3 different things throughout the offseason. I said, sell Chase Brown. Yep, sell Chase Brown. And I told people to sell Puka Nakua. and I told people to sell Brock Bowers. I told people to sell Brock Bowers. I told people to sell Chase Brown. Both of those look like they're going to be good because Brock Bowers, I guarantee you, is not going to be a first-round startup pick next year at tight end because of the injuries, and he hasn't been looking great. I mean, he's been looking good, but he's not going to be 1,200 yards receiver, lead the NFL in receptions. That just was never going to be sustainable. And Chase Brown, his tape was awful and didn't think he was going to be good again this year, which he wasn't. He's been a horrible, worst starting running back in the NFL. But Puka Nacua, I was like, look, if Puka Nacua can stay on the football field and play all year, he will be a top 3 fantasy wide receiver. Problem is, he's got a lot of injury concerns. Stafford's probably gone after this year. Who's the quarterback going to be next year? So long-term outlook for Puka Nacua, and he said he was going to retire before he was 30. He's already 25 right now, so he's only got a few years left. So for fantasy, I was like, for Dynasty, I mean, Puka just seemed like a screaming sell right now. But he's gotten like 15 targets a game, caught pretty much all of them. He's got like, I think he leads the NFL in catches right now. He's been phenomenal. I mean, he's just awesome. Hands, super glue hands. But we'll go ahead and talk about him in a little bit. But Matthew Stafford, like I said, leads the NFL in yards. Great stuff from him. He's been looking like an absolute world beater this year, and I think he's going to carve up the defense, like you said. Puka Nacua, I mean, if you're not starting him as your wide receiver 1, I don't know what you're doing. I think Devontae's going to have a decent day. I think this passing attack is going to go crazy, and I think once they're up in the second half by a decent amount, Kyren Williams is going to eat and get him a touchdown. Now, Derrick Henry is the only guy on this offense that I would feel comfortable starting because he does have the opportunity to get a touchdown at any point in the game. That's basically all I'm betting on. Unfortunately, with how bad they've been playing, Derrick Henry just doesn't get the carries because they're always down. I do think he'll get 14 carries, I hope. You know, that seems like very little for Derrick Henry, but I do think he can score a touchdown.
Yeah, I would stay away from all. I mean, there might be some opportunities where you can get Ravens players to get some mop-up time, but not with Cooper Rush in there. I mean, that's the Achilles heel. Like I said, Zay Flowers, where's he been? Mark Andrews, where's he been?
I know where he's been. They've been open. Cooper Rush just can't hit him, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But then again, you know what? Like, Ravens have had themselves a long, tenured success, so they're due for a little bump on the road like this. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah. But definitely, I see Lucio here. He said he was going to start Adams and Stafford. Definitely like that. I think Stafford is probably going to be a top 8 quarterback this week. There's my wife.
That's your wife?
Yeah, that's my wife. I don't know if she's made it to Pensacola just yet, but they left.
I'm assuming so. I hope she's not.
Oh, she's
Mallory, if you are driving and being on YouTube, you should not do that.
She went with her friends. Her friends are driving. But definitely like Puka and Devontae. I think Devontae can have a solid performance. He's been very consistent as like a wide receiver too. 5-6 catches for 60, 70 yards, maybe a touchdown here or there. So like Devontae. Then for the sits, Cooper Rush might be the worst starting quarterback in the NFL right now. I mean, that's including Joe Flacco. That's including Carson Wentz, even though Carson Wentz has been very hit or miss during his time. I mean, but Kevin O'Connell's making it work, man. Cooper Rush, not my biggest fan. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Cooper Rush. Absolutely not. And because of that, all the pass catchers, DeAndre Hopkins, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, all those guys, can't start them. I mean, I'm sure you're going to start Zay Flowers if he's on your roster because you don't have anybody else. But I'm not starting him if I have – like, I would start him. I would start Darius Slayton over Zay Flowers. Darius Slayton already played. Wandale Robinson, obviously hindsight's 2020. I would start Dontavian Wicks. I would start.
That's what I was just about to say. That was the guy I was going to. Like,
Romeo Dobbs. I'd start those guys. I mean, I'd start Tyquan Thornton over Zay Flowers. I mean, just anybody. I mean, Zay Flowers, I love the talent, man, but he's just not going to get the ball. He's not going to get good targets because his quarterback sucks. And watch me crap all over Cooper Rush, and he goes out there and throws 3 touchdowns, no picks, 300 yards, and just beats this Rams defense, which is a little bit wishy-washy outside of Jared Verse and a couple of other players. But, yeah, I'm staying away from the pass catchers. I like Andrews, but I think he might get a few dump-offs, but staying away from any of the pass catchers right now. Blake Corum, he had a costly fumble last week, and I think that's going to kill some of his carries. Kyron already had the bulk of the carries. Blake Corum's just going to get even worse at this point. And then last but not least, Tutu Atwell. Tutu Atwell, he just gets a big-time catch out of nowhere, and boosts his numbers, kind of like Adonai Mitchell a couple of weeks ago, but Tutu actually scored. Tutu, he's just not a guy that's going to be consistent for you. He'll get 2 catches for 20 yards, and then he'll have 5 catches for 130 and a touchdown. Got to stay away from guys like that. Zay Flowers is kind of similar, so staying away from those guys. I think Zay Flowers are going to start anyways, but like I said, all those guys that I named earlier, I'm starting all of those guys over Zay Flowers.
Yeah, I agree with that in full.
Yeah.
It's hard to disagree with any of that analysis.
Any wide receiver for the Packers, like Matthew Golden as well, over Flowers. So I like Matthew Golden. He caught a big catch last week. Next up, 2 teams really struggling. One quarterback's really struggling, and the other quarterback, the rookie, Cam Ward, also struggling, but not as bad as Geno Smith, man. Geno Smith, outside of that one week where he had 3 touchdowns in garbage time, he's been horrible. He's close to being benched. I think AOC might get a start or 2.
This is Pete Carroll's worst start in forever. I mean, it's kind of wild that he decided to go with Geno, and I think the Raiders would have been better off going. I mean, it's easy to say now, but I think the Raiders would have been better off going somewhere else.
I mean, he didn't play great last year. They led the league in passing attempts last year with the Seahawks, and he threw as many touchdowns as he did interceptions last year. He did not play good football at all.
He's still not, clearly. I mean, it's just this, and the Raiders just absolutely have nothing as far as any kind of, I like the Titans here. I like the Titans getting the points. I think that they're going to ride what they had last week. Las Vegas is right down the street from Phoenix. I don't know if they even went back to Nashville for the week. But I like the roster better for the Titans. I mean, you got Tony Pollard, and I like him better than Indy right now.
Actually, segue into that. I see Lucio's saying 1 for flex, Chase Brown, Golden, Myers, or Pollard. And out of those 4, I'm taking Pollard because he's getting consistent usage even when they're behind. I mean, they've played from behind pretty much every single game the Titans have, and he still gets carries. I mean, they're just trying to get it to work with him over and over, and he hasn't been that bad. I think against this defense, I think Pollard could go 16, 17 carries for his first 100-yard game and a touchdown. So I'm going with Pollard here for sure.
Yeah, I think the Titans get it done. I think this might be a Ridley game where he kind of goes nuts.
He went off last week.
It looked so bad. They looked so bad last week. But the other thing that kind of makes me a little apprehensive on the Titans is that coaching staff. It's got to go.
It's got to.
He should have been fired. This should have been the week where the interim steps in, but they got the win on the road, which just puts a Band-Aid on it, on a big old gashing wound.
Yep.
And but I'm going to take the Titans to cover here. I think 4.5 is really generous for a lousy offense, and
very lousy.
Besides Max Crosby, there's nothing on that defense that really terrifies me. I mean,
they got rid of their best corner in Jack Jones.
Eric Stokes gets cooked. He got cooked when he was in Green Bay. I mean, he ran 100 miles an hour, but just couldn't cover anybody. So I'll take the Titans here.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on the same side of that. I think the Titans can definitely cover this line. And I think they could outright win. I know Vegas. I love Vegas. The stadium with the pool.
Look, I just got to interrupt. That's 100% true, Mallory. The graphics are fire. Bobby does all the graphics for the show. All of them. I've got 2 left hands. I just don't have the patience. He's tried to show me. I simply do not have the patience to put all this stuff together. And then he does all the stuff for my YouTube shorts. I'm super grateful. That's why you guys got to go to Bobby's channel, subscribe to him, watch his stuff. He puts together these film breakdowns. He does it all by himself. We don't have a production team. It's him. So go check out Bobby's Big Board. Go follow him on X. Do what you got to do. He's your fantasy guru. Absolutely.
Yeah, look, anybody that you guys want me to do film breakdowns for, I do polls usually. voting on who you guys want to do next. I'm going to be doing rookies more than likely all season until we run
I'm
out
going
of
to put
those.
my name in one right now.
Go
I'm
ahead.
going to say you should do one on Jackson Dart.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, geez Louise. Got to. I mean, you got to, man. Look, I was so impressed with him last night. I mean, there was a couple throws where he was a little wishy-washy, but the rest of the night, I know he takes way too many hits, but man, he was doing his best Patrick Mahomes impression. I mean, he was making some dime throws all over the place. But I was already on the side of the Titans here. I think Cam Ward gets his first solid fantasy performance. He has been struggling all year. I expected him to struggle all year because of how poor this supporting cast and this coaching staff is for the Titans. I believe in the talent that's Cam Ward. I think he can develop. He's won everywhere that he's gone. He's had a phenomenal story. He was a former 0-star recruit. Nobody wanted him. He was Incarnate Word, which is a FCS school. Did phenomenal things there. Goes to Washington State, who's in the gutter right now. But when he was there, I mean, was very good there. Goes to Miami, almost takes them to the playoffs, right? I mean, great stuff from Cam Ward, and I think he can do similar things with the Titans, but he just has to have some talent around him, and right now he just doesn't. I like Calvin Ridley and Elick Ailmanor, but it's like the line's not great. Tony Pollard's okay. You know, the Chig's okay. They've just got a lot of okay guys. They don't have an elite wide receiver one. They don't have a lot of defensive pieces either. But do think Cam Ward will show his first solid performance this week. Calvin Ridley went off. 8 catches, 130-something yards last week. Went off. And I think they're finally – I mean, they've targeted him a bunch every single game. He just hasn't really been able to put it together, right? They just haven't been able to put it together. He's had some drop issues. And last week, man, no drop issues. He looked like the Calvin Ridley from a couple of years ago, man. And he's the guy that I was telling people to buy for a third-round pick last year. So, like Calvin Ridley a ton. So, thankfully, hopefully he can do something. And then Tony Pollard, like I said, I think has a big game. I think they get up a little bit in the second half, and I think they start feeding him. And then Ashton Jeanty, he's had some great weeks this past couple of weeks. You know, people were saying he was a bust. People throw that word out way too fast for bust. Yeah. He had to figure it out, man. He was playing at Boise State, playing, random teams all year, He had to go to the NFL and play a bunch of NFL players. It was going to take him some time to adjust to it and adjust to this terrible offensive line, and he's finally
My favorite thing is reading people saying that they should fire a coach or that players suck when they just have a bad drive. Like, it's the funniest shit. You'd never be able to maintain a staff. It's not how it works. Just drink your beer and shut up. Like, you don't know ball if you're saying dumb stuff like that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Lucio, about Herbert. If he had a better O-line, I mean, we saw it. We saw one of his tackles out, and we had Joe Alt, who's a great tackle. And what did he do with that tackle? 5 touchdowns, no picks in the first 2 weeks, and then he loses Joe Alt for a few weeks, and now he's just having to run for his life. And obviously Herbert can make it happen on the run, but he gets a little Sam Darnold-y sometimes when he starts having to, get some pressure in his face. He'll make some crazy throws. So I definitely agree with you. If he's able to sit in the pocket and not get killed all the time, I think he could be we saw it. I mean, he's a 5,000-yard passer before, so definitely like Justin Herbert. He's super talented. But last but not least, if Brock Bowers plays, he has missed some practices. I think he's doubtful at this point, but I do think he has the upside any given week to go off. Sure. If he doesn't play, I do think their backup, what's his name? What's his name? The second round pick
Michael Mayer.
Michael Mayer, there we go. Michael Mayer is a solid starting option for you in fantasy because Geno Smith is going to try his best not to throw any more interceptions, man. He had negative points, I think, last week because of how poor his performance was. 2 picks, no touchdowns. So he's going to have to keep it to his safety nets, and I think Ashton Jeanty out of the backfield and whoever his tight end is going to be his safety nets. For the sits, Geno, stay away from him. Stay away from him all year. If you have him as your QB3, start him only for bye weeks. I don't care what the matchup is. The Titans are a terrible defense. Stay away from Geno Smith. Whatever you do, stay away from him. Trey Tucker, another guy. I know he had that big 40-point week a few weeks ago. Stay away from him. He could get 2 targets, and I would not be surprised whatsoever. And then Jack Besh. I love Jack Besh coming out of TCU. He just hasn't been put into the offense yet because he's a very similar profile to Jacoby Myers. It is what it is. He's the guy because Jacoby Myers requested a trade in the offseason. Nobody really said anything about that, but he did request a trade, and he's playing through it, but he does want to be out of Vegas. So Jack Besh is a guy that, they're basically using as the second-round pick for the Jacoby Myers replacement. They're slowly integrating him into the offense. 5 targets last week, which is a season high for him. Don't think he's going to be super relevant, though, this week, unfortunately. And then Chig Okonkwo, love the athleticism, but this offense, I just don't think – I think it's running through Calvin Ridley and Eli Manor, and that's it. And I think Chig might get 4 or 5 catches at the max. And then Tyjae Spears, he's coming off injury. He's coming back. I just don't think he's going to be fully integrated into the offense this week. Maybe give him another week or 2 to see how he does. But right now it's the Tony Pollard show, and I think it's going to stay like that for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of jumbled nothing on these teams as far as fantasy goes. So I just don't see anything electric that's going to get you over the hump. I mean, Cam Ward starting is hard enough as it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a weird matchup, but I could see this game just being a fireworks fest for no reason. Just a bunch of teams that just have nothing to lose. They're probably neither one of them are making the playoffs. It's just like
so they got to play it. Like if they got to play it, and somebody's got to watch it. They should get that announcer that did that the Dolphins.
Could you imagine the Charlotte guy just SGT 60-yard touchdown? Yeah. Yeah, I would love that. But no offense, I know you're a Packers fan, but this might be my favorite play of the week. It's plus 14.5 for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, they are a horrible football team right now, especially defensively. The Ravens somehow are challenging the Bengals as the worst defense in the NFL. Somehow, some way. But the Bengals defense is horrible, but they just clawed their way last week. Just tried to claw their way back into the game. Jake Browning definitely had some garbage time reps, but they just couldn't get it done. But I do think the Bengals get a spark with Joe Flacco. I think Jamar could have a game. I mean, look, Joe Flacco has 2 touchdowns and 6 picks right now on the year. I don't know why Joe Flacco was the answer for the Bengals because Jake Browning had 6 touchdowns to 8 picks. Just saying, I mean, Jake Browning was horrible and lost them multiple games, but I don't think Joe Flacco is that big of an upgrade, if not even a downgrade. I'm not sure at this point, but I do think the Bengals can scratch and claw their way because the Packers have been kind of hit or miss with some of the performances. They lost to the Browns a couple weeks ago with that defense, and I think the Packers are a very good team, and I do think they win this game, but I do think the Bengals lose by 10. So I'm going to take the Bengals in the points here.
I think it's hard to just say that the Bengals are that much worse than the Green Bay Packers. I mean, Green Bay's got some injuries up front.
Yep.
And 14.5 is really a lot. Even though they're coming off a bye and the game's at home, I think they might have a little bit of a sour taste in their mouth when that Cowboys tied. But I did hear Micah Parsons say that they expect to let it rip. It's very possible. I mean, Joe Flacco's not exactly fleet of foot. And Jamar Chase is on the injury report now. He's listed as
illness. I think he was just sick today. I think he'll be fine.
I think he's sick when he's got to go to Lambeau and deal with this for this year. I mean, it makes perfect sense. I get sick of that too. But nonetheless, the Bengals don't have a running game. They don't have great protection, and the Packers' front 4 is absolutely dominant.
Yeah.
I think the reason that the line is so high is we're going to see a big game from Dobbs. I think that they're going to throw the ball this game. I think that they're just going to absolutely pound them. I think it's 14 points. That hook is what gets me. I don't like to lay 2 touchdowns in any NFL contest.
Can't.
But this guy's just getting into town. I mean, and when they played that game in Cleveland, he had a defense and it took, a block.
The Bengals
field
don't.
goal.
The Bengals just don't have one. I mean, they're basically throwing a ghost out there.
and he doesn't have Judkins back there. He's got Higgins and Chase, and that's the matchup that you look for if you want to exploit it. But the Packers pass rush is so good that I don't know if he can make those throws downfield. I don't even know how Flacco's going to do this. I don't.
I don't either, man.
I'm almost tempted to lay the points, but it's not because I want to beat up on him. But I'm just saying,
what's the offense going to do? Like, is Chase on a screen and let him go? That's what you got to do.
This could be like a 34-7. It could be. And I'm not saying that because I'm wearing a Packers hat.
Throwing the touchdown in the fourth quarter,
Take the helmets off and put these rosters together, and you tell me which one is going to score more points. And without that protection, Flacco might get hurt, and there might just be Chase Browning or Jake Browning right back in the ballgame.
Yeah. So. Because, that's the only two quarterbacks. I was like, are they going to put in I don't remember their quarterback that they just cut. It was a bad name. But I thought they were going to throw him in there because Browning just kept turning it over. But we'll go ahead and get into the starts and sits here. Oh, no. So you may see, I'm going to start with the sits first. You see Jake Browning there. You see the word Joe Flacco next to Jake Browning. I think Joe Flacco at this point in his career is just shiny Jake Browning. I think that's what it is. I think he's sparkling Jake Browning. I just don't think there's much of an upgrade here. If not, it could be slightly worse Chase Browning at this point. I don't know. But that's why Joe Flacco is Jake Browning. They are the same player at this point. They make the same decisions. So staying away from Joe Flacco for now. Staying away from T. Higgins. I think this is the Jamar Chase show. He just hasn't been consistent. I think T. Higgins is a great football player, but he has Joe Flacco throwing to him. And no disrespect to Joe Flacco, but he has not been a good quarterback this year. Right. And then I think they're going to be playing from behind, and I think Chase Brown might get 3 or 4 dump offs, but he might legitimately have 12 carries for 4 yards. That's just how he's been all year. And Mike Gesicki, I'm staying away from him. He's been pretty much irrelevant. He's droppable in fantasy at this point. And then last but not least, I think Romeo Doubs. I think, the 3 catches for 3 touchdowns the other day, before their bye week is just a little bit unsustainable. I do like the player, but I'm just staying away from pretty much every pass catcher. I will talk about some of the ones that I do like, though. Do like Jordan Love. Jordan Love has weapons. He's been a little hit or miss this year at certain points. He gets a little bit gunslingery from time to time. But I do think you start any quarterback playing against the Bengals, it just is what it is. And Jordan Love just happens to be a good quarterback playing against the Bengals. So, Josh Jacobs, I think they'll be up in this game the majority of the second half. So I do think Josh Jacobs is going to get a ton of work. He's coming off a great performance before the bye as well. So I think he's going to continue that. Matthew Golden, I think he's going to burn this defense. I know you said Romeo Doubs is going to have a big game. I think Matthew Golden's the guy that gets the big game because this defense just can't help themselves. They have to give away the deep ball. And Matthew Golden's y'all's best deep threat right now with Jaden Reed out. So Matthew Golden, I think, has a big 60-yard touchdown. I think you're going to get him involved in the end-around game. I think he's going to play that Jaden Reed role this game. And I think Matthew Golden has a big stellar performance. And Tucker Kraft, what a season this guy's been having, man. He's been very surprising. He was really good last year. He's one of the guys he's my most drafted tight end of any tight end in all of my 26 Dynasty leagues. He's the one that I have the most shares of because he was very, very underrated in terms of his price. He's had a great year. And Jordan Love just seems to target him a ton. He's y'all's number one red zone option as well, so love Tucker Kraft. And the only Bengals person I'm even thinking about starting is Jamar Chase because he's that good. One of the most talented wide receivers we've ever seen, especially in the past 20 years. He might be the most talented we've seen in the past 20 years. Super great yak receiver. He's ridiculous.
The LSU team had him.
Ridiculous. And Jettis.
And Joe Burrow. And Terrace Marshall, who is great, I thought.
Yeah, he's great too.
It was something.
And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Anybody remember that guy? I remember that guy. He was our first-round pick.
That's unbelievable. With
He's the 32nd overall pick. But, yeah, this is the start sit. I don't think anything – I mean, I know you like Dobbs. One of these guys are going to have a big game, whether it's Dontavian, whether it's Matthew, whether it's Romeo, I don't know. But one of these guys, and I think my money's on Matthew Golden because of the draft capital, and he's just slowly but surely been ramping up his production every single week. This is the explosion. So,
matter time. Good list.
Yeah. Wasn't super big on Golden, but how they're using him, I do like it. This is one of my favorite games of the week as well. 49ers going on the road to play one of my favorite NFC teams, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I told you guys before the season started, Buccaneers, my dark horse pick for the NFC Championship might be the Packers and the Buccaneers in the NFC Championship. Don't believe in the Eagles. Last night was a real clear indicator. They just can't figure it out on offense. And without Quinyon Mitchell, man, they just give up a bunch of big plays. So I do like the Buccaneers -2.5 here. The 49ers, despite having a really good running back, Christian McCaffrey, cannot run the football. And Ricky Pearsall is out. Brock Purdy is out. George Kittle's still is still on IR. I think his practice window opened this week, but he doesn't appear to be ready to play. So I like the Buccaneers. I think they're more healthy. No, Mike Evans is out, but Chris Godwin should play. Emeka Egbuka has been amazing. He's not playing.
Godwin is out.
Well, Emeka Egbuka is all they need because Chris Godwin wasn't a difference maker for this team anyways, because it's just wherever Egbuka is, Baker Mayfield's throwing it to him. So, Bucky I know is out. I mean, these two teams are really hurting right now, but Rachaad White has just been playing great in Bucky's absence. Cade Otton's there. Yeah, I like the defense for the Buccaneers a little bit more. We'll see. I like the Buccaneers -2.5 here, especially since they're at home.
I feel that it's the same thing. I think these teams are pretty evenly matched, but I'm going to go with Baker having better options than Mac Jones. Good. That's what's the difference here. I think that I wish the Buccaneers would wear that home orange. Like
the creamsicles, man.
Get rid of this pewter. Go to orange full time. There was nothing like it. I remember a kid growing up, they had that. I mean, they stunk when I was a kid. They were really bad. But nonetheless, is the best look in the NFL. The Buccaneers should seriously consider going back to that shit.
Yeah.
But I like the Bucs.
I mean, they weren't a couple weeks ago, and they looked so good. They look so
I don't know how long Egbuka can keep this pace up for.
I don't either.
But I sold him high in another league for Malik Neighbors and Bryce Young. I mean,
you got Bryce Young and Malik Neighbors for Egbuka?
I got Young and Neighbors for Egbuka, and I did this because I'm not contending, but I like Malik Neighbors way more than I like Egbuka.
You have to.
And I'm getting a quarterback in the Superflex League, so I'm going to take that every day of the week.
You have
My only quarterback that was worth a lick was Spencer Rattler. So my quarterbacks are Bryce Young and Spencer Rattler, and you can see why I'm not contending this year.
Yeah.
But I've got...
Whoa, you just threw a shot at Spencer Rattler. What the hell?
Well, but they're not winning fantasy points. So
Rattler's been good.
In that league, I've got 9 2027 first-round picks lined up.
Well, you'll be good then.
It'll all be worth it.
You should have Ty Simpson.
He might go in this year's draft. I think he's going in this year's draft.
I
think he does.
I think I would be pretty certain he's a 27 guy.
I think he goes. I think if Alabama wins out and he contends for the Heisman, he's the most NFL-ready quarterback on all of them, the way he makes these reads. And I think that an agent will get in his ear, and I think that he'll be wearing a Las Vegas Raiders jersey before you know it. So,
here we go. We got a question for you, man, because this is way more up your alley than mine.
I mean, when you're at home and you're 70%, that's a good trend that you want to bet on. Sometimes, but see, like when it comes to long-term trends, I'm not the biggest fan of them, even when they come to fruition, because you're betting on things that are irrelevant to previous games, previous matchups, that doesn't necessarily go over into the next week or into the next bet. you want to make sure that, this James Madison team, they're at home 3-0 against the spread since last season. Respectfully, last season's irrelevant. It's not the same group. It's a talking point for television, and I think that's what gets people all up in arms when it comes to sports betting. Like, they want to push a narrative. They want to say,
ooh,
Alabama's beat Georgia 10 of the last 11. That's not a betting thing. If you do that, more likely than not, you'll lose because you're being told somebody else's opinion with statistics that are irrelevant. If you go to my YouTube page, I've got videos on why I picked that's the way I do. 70% is a high number, but in order to be a success at betting, a really good success, you're at 55%. That's an elite sports capper. So you may win that 7 out of 10 times, but you just need to know how sustainable that is. Good question, Strangler.
You know what? I'm gonna agree. I just looked at the resumes because I'm not super familiar with the Raging Cajuns this year, and I'm not super familiar with James Madison. I just don't watch a lot of Sun Belt football.
But you should.
I've been seeing some of the scores in these games, man. Holy crap! But I think the spread per ESPN is minus 14.5 for James Madison. I mean, I think that's a good bet. At home, I think James Madison will roll because their only loss is to Louisville this year. So that's a very respectable loss, and it wasn't that big of a loss. I mean, it wasn't a big margin. So definitely like James Madison minus 14.5 there. But I'd stay away from Sun Belt games, in my opinion, because I just don't know enough about it. But
well, you may not.
Yeah, but if you know about it and you like that, I think JMU for the win and cover. Just looking at minus 14.5.
Well, the line was at 18.
I may have just looked at it wrong. Let me look.
But even if it's 14, I think the ULL covers.
Minus 18.5, my bad.
I'm taking the points. No, did I just say I don't like 70%? No, you weren't listening to what I said. You're talking about things going to last season. Your note says 3-0 against the spread and like 70% since last season. I'm just saying last season is irrelevant. Last season doesn't matter.
Different team.
Yeah, and I would take the points. That's a lot of points, for a team that, ULL doesn't have the worst offense here, and I would take the over in that game. I know the over is around 45. So I would take the points.
James Madison's been putting crazy numbers up. And the Raging Cajuns, I mean, they've just been giving up a ton of points to everybody. So, yeah, definitely like James Madison there, minus 18.5. But we'll go ahead
We clash there. I don't. I'll take the points.
You like the Raging Cajuns?
I like the points, not necessarily the win. I like the points.
Gotcha. Understood. So we'll get to the start sits for this game. San Francisco at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do you think Mac Jones has done enough to where he's a startable option in fantasy? At least for my opinion. I mean, in the 3 games he started, he's 3-0, and he's been very consistent fantasy-wise for us in those 3 games. So like that.
It's Mac 10,
you're
baby.
good. You're good, my man. You're good, my man. This is what this is for. Any betting thing, anything that you have questions for, shoot us.
You're not interrupting.
Yeah, we're talking ball. That's all we want to talk about, anyways. So college or NFL, who cares? We do both. So Mac Jones, I think, is a startable option as your QB2. I'd start him over pretty much all the same people I'd start over Spencer Rattler, all those guys. So Mac Jones, love that. Christian McCaffrey hasn't been very efficient on the ground, but he's their number 1 wide receiver. I mean, I think he's got like 400 yards receiving right now, which is incredible. Leads the team in targets, yards, everything. So love Christian McCaffrey. He's just a PPR monster. And then Ricky Pearsall, he's out, so that's going to bring in Kendrick Bourne here. I like Kendrick Bourne over Pearsall. So Kendrick Bourne, I think he can be a solid option. Him or Jake Tungus. Either one of those guys I think are solid because Tungus has been very reliable while George Kittle's been out. So then for the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, I think he's up there towards the MVP conversation at this point. I mean, he's been playing great football. he is a psychopath. Baker Mayfield is a psychopath in every good way possible. He just makes throws that I'm like, what are you doing? And they work out every single time. I mean, his ball placement and just arm talent overall, despite being a smaller quarterback, is off the charts, man. I'm so happy he's brought back. He's such a cool guy to root for, too. Love Baker Mayfield. I hope he continues to dominate for the next 5-6 years.
Yeah, it's, I mean, this is... Baker Mayfield is the most fun quarterback in the NFC South, and even if you're not a fan of the Buccaneers, unless they're a rival of yours, you cannot appreciate how he plays football. You know what? I saw a little bit of that in Jackson Dart yesterday, just kind of going on the
going in the wind,
and then just absolutely just handling business, doing everything you can to will your team into getting some wins. So, and I mean. Good. Yeah, it's a good starting list here. Buka, I think, is absolutely going to feast, and then
I mean, you have to start him. But I was like, okay, the first couple weeks, okay, touchdown, upside, whatever, Then all of a sudden, he just keeps doing it, and it's like Baker Mayfield's like, I don't. So I did a film breakdown. If you guys want to go to my channel, I did a film breakdown on Emeka Egbuka. Talked about all the things that I saw on the film. Egbuka doesn't separate very well. That's just not what he does. He's a smooth route runner, but he just isn't explosive enough. I know he had a quad injury or something, but, I mean, he didn't separate that well at Ohio State either in the Big Ten. But, Emeka Egbuka doesn't separate that well, does not matter. He has the same thing Nico Collins has. When Nico Collins is doing the underneath routes and stuff, he doesn't really separate all that well, but his hands are so good it doesn't matter. And when you have a quarterback like Baker Mayfield that can just put the ball right on you, Emeka Egbuka will catch it every single time. And that's Emeka Egbuka's strength. He's really smart. He knows exactly where to go in the holes in the zone. He's very good with hands. I mean, he's got one drop on the year despite being targeted a ton. Emeka Egbuka can catch one-handed grabs. You saw that versus Sauce Gardner. Had the great one-hander just pushing Sauce Gardner, who's a very physical press cover corner, very talented. Egbuka just mossed him. So at this point, Baker Mayfield's going to keep targeting him. Emeka Egbuka's going to keep doing big things, regardless of whether he's open or not. So,
and Pearsall's out, right?
Yes, I did speak to that. That's why I would move Kendrick Bourne over to Pearsall. He got ruled out today, I believe. So I made these on Tuesday. So, yeah, didn't look back.
Purdy and Pearsall are both from the same area, the neck of the woods where I'm at.
Also, we got Strangler talking about White under on rushing yards, over on receiving yards, kind of being utilized like CMC was last week. CMC's been utilized that all year. But, yeah, definitely. I can see that. I mean, when he started in 2023, very underwhelming rushing performances a lot of the weeks, but he had like 400 or 500-yard games. But some games he would just get like 3, So, definitely Kendrick Bourne, Brian Robinson. I think Kendrick Bourne startable. Brian Robinson Jr., he's not going to get many carries. Rachaad White, I do think, is a sit just because I think his projection's 19 points right now. I just don't think he's going to get that versus the San Francisco defense. They're really good at run defending. I mean, their run defense is really solid. Outside of last week, they didn't have the best performance, but I do think the 49ers are a little bit more healthy now on defense. I think they're going to do that. Chris Godwin's out, but don't trust Sterling Shepard here or anybody else. I think the only pass catcher I'm taking is Emeka Egbuka. Cade Otton, I think, is going to be irrelevant as well. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next game. We've got the Lions and the Chiefs. My Kansas City Chiefs are at home. The Lions have been steamrolling people on offense, man. Ben Johnson or not, who cares? I mean, they've just been looking great on offense. They've just been playing great football. And Arrowhead, hardest place to play, in my opinion, in the entire NFL. Kansas City Chiefs, because of that, -2.5 points. One thing I will say, I do like Kansas City -2.5 here, which is probably a bold take here, just because of how they're 2-3 on the season versus a team that has a much better record. I think the Chiefs, they averaged like 8 yards a play last week. And there's just been a couple of mistakes. Hollywood Brown cost us multiple times. We missed just a couple of big opportunities. Chris Jones could have finished that game. There was multiple opportunities where the Chiefs could have won that game, and we just didn't end up doing it. I think it was a freak kind of game for us, and I think we end up becoming 500 after this week, and I think we might handle this Lions defense pretty wrongly this week. And then after this week, we get Rashee Rice back, and I think this offense gets even better because I loved our offense last week despite the pick six.
Well, Detroit has beat up a bunch of nobodies. They're 4-1. Their one loss was in Lambeau in week 1, and then since then they played Chicago, they played Cleveland, they played Baltimore. So their offensive machine has gone against a combined 6-20 when it comes to who they played. I don't think that they're frauds here, but the Chiefs are definitely a step up defensively on the road here.
Absolutely.
But because of I like their skill players a little bit better here, I'm calling for the Lions, sadly, to win this game. And the Chiefs are going to be in fire drill mode. But Rashee Rice coming back is going to make a world of difference. Xavier Worthy, has another week here to kind of get himself straight. But, man,
he's banged up.
Kansas City's running game is atrocious. And I think the Lions, you can pick on Terrion Arnold's actually out. So I think that the secondary is the Lions' weakest point of their defense. Just go away from Hutchison. I think it's going to be a shootout. There's an overplay here for sure. The over is what you want to play more so than the line. But I think Detroit wins. Jared Goff has shown.
He's so good.
He's shown that he can run this offense. He's shown that he's great at play action. He's on time. He makes throws. He's got the Sun God. He's got Laporta. He's got Gibbs. He's got Montgomery. I mean, he's got anything that you can ask for. It just
J-Mo.
Yeah, they got J-Mo on the deep shots. I mean, you got McDuffie that can take care of one side, but then what do you got after that kind of holds true? So I'll take the Lions to win the game. Yeah. I'll take the points, and I'll take the money line on this.
I got to go with my team, right? Always got to go for my team. So for the starts for the Lions, I do think Jared Goff is very efficient quarterback, super efficient quarterback. Is perfect for this offense, honestly. Very smart quarterback. I think he can have a decent day. I mean, he's like a top 8 quarterback right now in fantasy, so definitely like Jared Goff here. Jahmyr Gibbs, regardless of what the backfield split ends up looking like for this game, Jahmyr Gibbs just has the talent to where you have to start him every single week. It just is what it is. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can break off 70-yard runs, even though he hasn't done that quite yet this year. I mean, and I do think the run defense for the Chiefs is going to give them fits, but Gibbs is just a guy you have to start regardless, just because of how talented he is. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, I mean, he's just been phenomenal. The wide receiver 2 on the year right now, I think. Just touchdowns, catches. I mean, he's done that. He's done that all year. I mean, he's done that the past 3 years. He's just been super consistent. He's been the wide receiver 3 in back-to-back years, and right now he's the wide receiver 2. Most consistent wide receiver in football, in my opinion, over the past 3 years. So, love starting him in any matchup, no matter what, even if he has Trent McDuffie on him all game. Patrick Mahomes playing some of his best football that he's played in the past couple of years. Yes, he threw the pick 6, but outside of that, I mean, he leads the team in rushing, has 4 rushing touchdowns on the year right now, the top 8 in passing yards, right? So definitely like his ability. He can put up a monster performance on any given week. I'm going to start Mahomes as my QB1 and feel good about it. And then Xavier Worthy, he's a little banged up right now. I do think he plays. He's just been limited. They said he was moving around well, so I do think he's going to play. I think he's got a couple of big plays in store for this Lions secondary, like you said. So I'm going to stay with Xavier Worthy here, and I'm going to like it. Another guy, if you're in a deep league and you're starting like 14 people, or it's like a 15, 16 team league, and you have Rashard Smith on your bench, I think he's a phenomenal start right now. I think he can get you 10 points right now. He's just this third down back that's getting a ton of work in the passing game, kind of similarly to how we used Jerick McKinnon a few years ago. He's kind of like that replacement for Jerick McKinnon. We lost him a few years ago, but he was amazing. So, like Rashard Smith a lot in this running back room. He was our 7th-round pick out of SMU. So, for the sits, we have no idea what the running back split's going to look like. Pacheco has been solid when he plays, but he just doesn't get a lot of volume. Neither does Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt's only going to be relevant if he scores a touchdown, and I've said this a ton of times. If he's only relevant if he scores a touchdown, stay away from him. Hollywood Brown, he cost us a lot. He had a personal foul. He had a couple of just really tough plays that really cost the team last week. And I think, he's been a very consistent option for Mahomes, but just, at the end of the game, we could have been in field goal range to tie it up. Hollywood Brown doesn't even look for the ball.
That's the NFL, man. The NFL just can do cruel, cruel things to you.
Yeah. So Hollywood Brown, he's just got to – I don't know if he exactly gets that same volume this week because of the mistakes, and especially with Xavier Worthy. I think Jalen Royals might get in a little bit. They tried to utilize him a little bit last week. So rookie out of Utah State, I think Hollywood Brown's a sit for me. I think he's got an 8 or 9 point projection. I'm going to stay away from that for now. And David Montgomery, he's only relevant if he scores a touchdown. But all of a sudden, he could just get all the carries. If he starts running hot, but I don't think the running backs are going to run hot versus this run defense, where it's just too good. We haven't let anybody do pretty much anything on the ground all year. And then Jamison Williams, he's been really underwhelming this year outside of a big catch. One big catch, he's been really underwhelming, unfortunately. And it's just because that's the type of wide receiver he is. He's a guy that's being used. He's either going to get you an 80-yard touchdown or he's not going to get anything. Last year, Ben Johnson really propped him up with trick plays and things like that, and he really got his numbers boosted because of that, and they paid him. But since then, they just haven't really been using those trick plays as much, and Jamison Williams has just been kind of like the sacrificial X wide receiver, where they just say, go run a slant, go run a deep post, go run a deep go, and you're going to take that safety away, and then we're going to throw underneath to Amon-Ra. That's kind of been what he's been this year, unfortunately, but definitely dangerous to score from anywhere on the field.
For sure. Yeah, well, he's when it comes specifically to Jamison Williams, like he was just big play, like your Madden type, just X route, just flying down the field and making all that stuff happen. So with him, it's feast or famine. There's no getting around it. They don't really like to, well, I don't say like to, but they just don't really feed him like they do with some other people. It's just that's a sun god rushing offense first. We got 40 viewers.
Yeah, I was about to say that. So, guys, all the 40 of you that are in here, thank you guys for watching, spending y'all's Friday night with us, talking some ball, college ball if you were here really early. Now we're talking NFL. We do this every Friday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you guys want to hang out with us every Friday, we'll be doing this, going over previews for college and NFL, talking your starts and sits. And if you guys have any fantasy questions, any betting questions, whether it's trades, start sits, anything like that, shoot a comment to us, man. We always like talking to our audience, engaging in any way that we can. So thank you guys again for watching, and we'll go ahead and get right into this game right here. The Buffalo Bills, tough loss last week.
This is part of the Monday night doubleheader.
Yes, exactly. Love me some Monday night doubleheaders. Think the scheduling's a little weird on these games just because, you start one an hour early and then right after, an hour into this game, you have the other game starting. So it's like, I like one Monday night game, I think, and I get it. You don't want to have so many games on Sunday. Have a game on Friday, man. I don't know if you're against that or not, but I like Friday night lights, man. Another day of NFL football,
I think they do that just because people go to high school and stuff like that, and they're just real limited on that. It's kind of a respect thing.
Makes sense.
Plus, people work on Friday. I mean, they work on Thursday and Monday too, but I think that it's a chore to watch it that many days in a row for some people. They want to have lives and stuff like that. So
that makes total sense for sure. But the Bills might have the best quarterback in the NFL on Josh Allen. He's ridiculous. No, he hasn't. He's not coming off the best performance last week, but still just an amazing talent. And he doesn't really have a lot to work with offensively outside of James Cook and Dalton Kincaid. But he's going on the road to play the Falcons, and the Falcons are a team that just you don't really know what they are yet. You just really don't know what they are. Are they a good team? Are they a bad team? Are they just super inconsistent?
They're a pile of garbage. I'm not going to even pretend it. They're a pile of garbage. Like, their quarterback just ain't getting it done. They've got Drake London who they feed the ball. They never want to throw it to Kyle Pitts. Bijan Robinson has, great games, and they do some loopy stuff down there. It's got to be nerve-wracking to watch the Atlanta Falcons play football every week. I mean, I'm going to take the Bills here to cover. I think they win by a touchdown. James Cook is going to go back to Georgia. And he's just going to go show off and remind those Dogs fans how much that he misses them and how much they miss having him on that football team. Yeah. I think Keon Coleman's going to have a great game as well. He had a touchdown last week in the Patriots game. But I like the Bills to absolutely beat the brakes off the Falcons, even though the Falcons are coming off a bye. But I just not a believer in Michael Penix. I think that they just, and defensively, there's nothing. There's still pass rush still isn't getting home. James Pierce has to get on the field and make some plays. We're not seeing any of that stuff. We're not seeing nothing exciting from the Falcons. We're seeing absolute frustration from them.
Well,
And the
I will
Bills are on a
say,
roll right now. The Bills lost that game to New England, so they're going to
Yeah.
be licking their chops, but they're heading down south, and this is the perfect remedy for them.
yeah, I agree. I think this is a good matchup for the Bills. I know the Falcons are coming off bye on a home game, but you got to take the better team. You know, I do think the Bills can win by a touchdown, so I guess I have to go with the Bills here. But for the starts and sits, man, Michael, I'll go ahead and start with the starts. I know we were talking about Michael Penix Jr., and I do want to talk about him, but we're going to go ahead and talk about Josh Allen. Josh Allen, like I said, probably the best quarterback in the NFL. I know they didn't have the best showing last week versus New England, but New England's shown to be a pretty solid team this year. So, you know, Josh Allen, he's going to put it together. This defense for the Atlanta Falcons isn't the best. You know, their pass rush is a little bit better than it's been in years past, but, you know, they just haven't really been able to put up a lot offensively. I mean, they gave up defensively. They gave up 27 points with Marcus Mariota and the Washington Commanders, and they haven't really been that great on offense either. So, like Josh Allen, think he can get multiple rushing touchdowns. I mean, he's the only quarterback, in my opinion, that has legitimately 50-point upside on any given week. So, like Josh Allen, him and Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson's hurt. James Cook, I know he was coming off an underwhelming performance as well, but he was the RB1 going into that week. I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. So, starting him absolutely versus this underwhelming Falcons defense. And then Dalton Kincaid, man. This is his year 3, and first year he didn't play a lot, and then second half of the year went crazy. Then his second year, kind of a bust for a lot of people because he was hurt all year, didn't really play up to par, and then this year he's been playing lights out. Had over 100 yards receiving last week. I think they'll keep going to him. I think Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid have a great relationship, and I think Dalton Kincaid, right now, I think he's the tight end 3. So like this for Dalton Kincaid a lot, especially versus this defense. Then Bijan Robinson and Drake London. I mean, you got to start these guys. Bijan Robinson might be the best back in the NFL right now in terms of what he does for fantasy. He's going to get you catches. He had 100 yards receiving last time the Falcons played. And, you know, also very talented rusher, even though Tyler Algier is really talented in his own right. And Drake London, you know, Penix loves to target Drake London, and I think Drake London can have 10 catches this game, and I wouldn't be surprised at one bit. But for the sits, Michael Penix Jr. currently has 3 touchdowns and 3 picks on the year. Started off really slow, but last week had his best performance. So he's, not last week, but before they went on bye, his best performance. So are we trending up? Are you going to have a decent performance versus the Buffalo Bills? I have to see more from him. I'm staying away from him for now. And then Tyler Algier, if you're in a deep league, okay, start him at your flex spot. I mean, I'm talking deep league. But Tyler Algier, he's just not a guy that I'm going to stay with consistently because he's not the number 1 running back in this offense. He might get 10 carries for 50 yards and a touchdown, but he could also get 8 carries for 32 yards, and that's it. So staying away from him until he gets a better role. I think he is likely a free agency loss for the Falcons, and he goes elsewhere. And he could really skyrocket up my dynasty rankings if he goes to a RB-needy team because he's a very good back. Then the Buffalo Bills pass catchers. I think Dalton Kincaid's the only guy that I'd comfortably start. Khalil Shakir, if you want 10 points and you know you're getting 10 points, Khalil Shakir is a guy that's going to get you 8 to 10 points every single week, but probably not much of anything outside of that. He's a very low-risk, low-reward type of fantasy asset. So if you like consistently 10 points and that's all you need for your flex spot, then start him. But I'm staying away from him for now because I like a little bit more upside in my starts. Josh Palmer's been kind of underwhelming outside of a couple of games. Keon Coleman, outside of having that big-time game in Week 1, has been kind of underwhelming since then. You know, we're just going to have to see how he does the rest of the season. But now I'm kind of off on him.
Yeah, I don't like it like any of those sits. I don't like a single one of them to start this way. I mean, Keon Coleman, I think, might have himself a day. But everybody
That's
else
like
that
the
you have
only
in
guy.
starts, have been proven to get points, so that's what you're trying to do. So that's a very, very solid. It's probably the best one I agree with the most on the night.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go ahead and get into the next game, and I think it's our last game.
Last one.
A game I'm very excited about. You know, I'm a big Bears guy. Look, right now, it's Kansas City Chiefs are my favorite team in the NFL, and I've got two teams in the NFC right now that I love to watch. It's the Chicago Bears and the New York Giants, man. New York Giants. Last night, I'm like, they are can't miss football right now. The New York Giants are just super exciting to watch. That pass rush that they got, great offensive weapons. And then the Bears, I mean, Ben Johnson always has a trick up his sleeve. Caleb Williams, he's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, he's just so talented and just makes magician throws all the time. But Washington, they're at home here. They're minus 4.5-point favorites. Jaden Daniels is playing. Terry McLaurin is out. I like the Bears plus 4.5 here. I don't like what the Commanders have done on offense so far this year. I like the Bears. Their offense is on an upward trajectory. They're coming off a really close win before their bye week. I think the Bears win this game.
I don't know if the Bears win this game, but we saw the little breakout with Bill, as the commies like to call him.
Dude, he was great.
He was great. And then Jaden Daniels is paper thin, but the Bears are missing some key players in their secondary. But offensively, they can overwhelm the Commanders. I mean, DJ Moore, I think, is a trade candidate. I think he's going to be checked. I think he's somewhat checked out like A.J. Brown has. It's just been a lot less scrutiny because they're not in a position like Philadelphia that's 4-2 and won the Super Bowl, and the Bears don't have a whole lot of expectations on them.
Yeah.
But DeAndre Swift is fine in the backfield, but they've got to get Colston Loveland involved. I think 4.5 is a bit generous for a team that doesn't feel like it was elite. But this is a revenge spot for Chicago too. Mind you, last year the Hail Mary is kind of what started the downfall.
They were a much worse team last year, and I think the Commanders were a much better team last year.
Well, I don't think that the Commanders were a much better team last year, but I think the Bears' biggest problem is going to be how are they going to handle Deebo Samuel. And that I think he's going to get a touchdown. I think he's definitely somebody who's going to be worthy of starting. But I'll take the Bears to cover. But if the Commies win by a touchdown, I could totally see that happening as well. It's a stay-away game for me. If I had to bet it, I wouldn't touch it. But since we do the show here and we talk about these kind of things, I'll take Chicago to cover.
I completely agree there. I do think the Bears win this game, though. And, normally I would really be curious to see, I've got 5 starts, 5 sits. I wonder who has, in this example, the Commanders have 3 starts and the Bears have 2. I want to see the percentage of the time where whoever I have more starts for on whatever team, what their odds of winning are. Because, usually when I'm doing this, I'm like, okay, whoever I think wins, I have the more starts for. But this is an anomaly here. So I like Caleb Williams. I think he's a must start any given week, no matter what whatever the matchup is. I think Caleb Williams is phenomenal, and I think he's going to do great things this year. He's already been doing great things this year. And Rome Odunze, who has been phenomenal, catching all the touchdowns, been really great. I mean, he's got some routes on film, man, that I'm just like, how are you doing this at 6'3", 220? I mean, I just don't understand it. I mean, his stutter go is ridiculous. I mean, he did that last year, and then he did it this year and actually got a touchdown. So his stutter go is amazing. His movement for how big he is crazy. So I love Rome Odunze. I'm glad he's coming into his own and being the leading receiver that they were hoping for when they drafted him top 10 overall. Now, Jaden Daniels, think he's a must-start because of the rushing upside. Hasn't been the best passer because they've been taking away the short plays this year from Cliff Kingsbury, and Jaden Daniels just hasn't been able to get into rhythm. But I do think with that rushing upside and the big play upside from his arm, he will take the deep shot every now and then. I think Jaden Daniels is a must-start as well. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, man, I've had him on both sides of this. I've had him on the start. I've had him on the sit the past few weeks. And I loved his tape in college, and I was really high on him because of his price tag throughout the offseason. I think this guy is the real deal. We saw it last week, 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards. I think it was 14 yards a carry last week. I mean, he's just he's really good, explosive, really good burst as well. So I'm going to start Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt in my flex spot this week. And another guy that I'd feel confident starting is Deebo Samuel. Man, he's had a phenomenal year. Hasn't gotten hurt yet. He's been healthy. People were calling him fat and slow in the offseason. I don't know how many people had to say that they were stupid in the offseason. I'm like,
lazy.
They saw one clip from a practice and they're like, he's slow, old, and fat. Like, okay. And then we saw him in the preseason take an end around for 20 yards, and I'm like, this guy is not slow and fat, I promise. So I drafted him in a bunch of my redraft leagues, and I've been paid heavenly for that because Deebo Samuel has had a great year. And I think he's going to have a great day versus the Chicago Bears. I don't know if it's enough for them to win the game, but Deebo Samuel, man, what a year. And he's the perfect weapon for Cliff Kingsbury. He's the perfect type of player. Then for the sits, DeAndre Swift, man, I was hoping that he'd have some sort of resurgence with Ben Johnson coming in there, but he's been just as inefficient as he was last year.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. We know what Swift is at this point. Another coach isn't going to save him. And they are pretty much primed to get, Jonah Coleman from Washington or maybe Jeremiah Love or one of the Penn State running backs. They're getting a running back in probably the first 3 rounds this year. I was surprised they didn't do it this year, and they only got Kyle Monungai in the 6th round.
Yeah.
They got to get a running back. So Colson Loveland's another guy. He just hasn't been involved. I liked his talent. He was my tight end 3 behind Fannin and Tyler Warren in terms of fantasy, but he's a really good real-life tight end. He just hasn't been targeted. I know he's been dealing with the hip injury, but yeah, staying away from him until he gets decent target volume. And Luther Burden, I mean, he had a great week a couple of weeks ago, had over 100 yards and a touchdown, but most of that was on one catch for like 70 yards and a touchdown. But love the talent. He's my wide receiver 3 coming into the year. Just hasn't really been able to do much once DJ Moore moves on from the team, which I do think is next year at some point before the next season. I think Luther Burden's a sit until that happens. Terry McLaurin's out. Not much to say there. I wasn't going to start him even if he did start because he's been really underwhelming fantasy-wise for us all year. And then Chris Rodriguez. I think with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt's performance last week, I think Chris Rodriguez is firmly the RB2 at this point. So I like sitting him for now.
Yeah, I think you could start DeAndre Swift, but the rest of the guys you got to keep on the bench for sure. So, I mean, just depends on what your running back options are looking like. So it's a good list, man.
Absolutely. And I think that's it, man. That's every year.
I got something I'm going to promote. First of all, we got 37 viewers, and I'm going to show you guys something right now. I'm going to present what you guys can get with me.
Oh, yes.
When you go to this site right here, winnable.com/JustinPaulSports, this is what your page looks like. And this is what I put out for my free plays. This is what I'm promoting all the time. And what you could do is you could sign up for free. You simply subscribe here. And when I put these free plays up, when I write these blogs in the morning, because I do a free play every day that there's football on or college basketball, I'll have some in-depth stuff here that'll just kind of show you exactly what I think on these games. I've got a special right now for a $5 CFL Thanksgiving Day special. There was a game on today, and there's 2 tomorrow and 1 on Monday, which is the Canadian Thanksgiving. And I got my college football 2025, $10 a week. I've been absolutely destroying the leagues on this, destroying it. This is kind of what the page will look like when you come there. But in fact, when you go to, let me see here. If I can go to, hold on a second here. So if I go to my store, and this is stuff, see, I was showing you guys see the public view. That's what I was showing you. But if you go to my picks for today, if you scroll down here, what I do is it'll look like this. I'm not letting you see that one because that's my my paid one, which you should pay. It's $5, y'all. $5. But you see I got 82 views on this one here. 82 views. So if I go to, this is from Friday, or this is from today. So I recap what I did yesterday, which was the Giants. And then I break down today's play. North Texas got clobbered, so this is a loss. But I keep all my stuff up here. I'm 13-2 on my. It's $10, y'all. $10. I'm not asking for your wallet. $10 is what you pay in VIG when you bet online in most places. I got my CFL promo up there. That's $5. If you don't like CFL, that's fine. And then I've gone through and looked at some statistics and certain matchups that I like and see why I break down who I take. And you just follow me, and I promote the show here, and then I promote, my stuff and things along those sorts. And then you'll see the Free Play Cafe comes every day. But it's that simple. It's just that simple. It's $10 for the college football. 13-2. I've been absolutely annihilating it. Absolutely crushing the college football. I mean, the paid subscribers that I do have for that are absolutely happy because it's paid for itself.
Yeah.
It's $10 for the week and then $10 for the next week. You pay that in VIG. You're getting picks from somebody who loves college football.
And as long as your units are, $10, like let's just say that's an extra unit for you is for the paid plan. I mean, you're winning. I mean,
if you go online and try to find if you go online and try to find other cappers, they'll charge you like $59 and hundreds of dollars. And I'm not trying to do that. I want you to beat your bookie.
Yeah.
I just want a little touch for helping you out. I mean, a little touch. I'm not asking for the whole freaking value meal. Just give me a couple French fries. And I promise that it'll pay off in its own right. You know what I mean?
Even the free plays, man. Even the free plays. I know North Texas, I mean, they were looking good at halftime, and then, they just faded away in the second half. I mean, South Florida is just the real deal, man. But for the most part, the free plays, man, I've been, putting bets in here and there on ones that I really like. But the free plays, like, they've been hitting over and over and over and over again. I mean, I'm up. I only got one loss, and it's to you, like I said, on cut. I mean, I'm 12-1 right now on cut, and I have Alabama minus 3.5. That's I've got 4 units on that bad boy. So we'll see. We'll see how that one goes. I'm very excited to see. So taking your advice on that one.
Bobby, is there anything you want to promote before we get out of here?
Just if you guys are sub to me, any of the 35 that are watching right now, again, thank you guys for watching. We're about to go off, but thank you guys a lot for spending y'all's Friday night with us talking ball. But if you guys are sub to me, if you're not, be on the lookout for the Tet McMillan film breakdown. That'll be dropping Monday. And if you want to watch other film breakdowns, I've done film breakdowns on pretty much a ton of people, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, bunch of people. So if you want to see film breakdowns, go check it out.
Bobby's best stuff will be in the off season when he gets everything ready for your incoming rookie class.
Yep.
And in April, we're going to do a live Garcia cast, as we call it, as we do the NFL draft with former Gamecocks quarterback legend Steven Garcia, who joined us a couple weeks ago. Is definitely going to join us for the first round live. I mean, we obviously can't have the picks on the screen because of people that are watching, but that'll be a long event. We're going to draft we're going to live stream the entire draft. So as Hawk Harrelson would say, you sit back, relax, and strap it down and get ready for some entertainment for sure. And Bobby has a surprise that's going to come up around draft time. I'm not going to spoil it, but it'll be good. And you'll have that you need on your
regardless class. Of whether that's ready to go or not, I do know what we did last year was all the skill position players. Whenever I did it last year, I had graphics for every single skill position player. So whenever we have whoever gets picked, we'll have the graphic pop up. So you know a little bit of how we feel about those characters or those players, I mean. So you're not just looking at us talking about the draft. Makes it a little bit better. So a little bit more fun. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm excited for next week, and I'm excited for some football this weekend. Most important.
Yeah, we're going to have I'll be in costume. We're going to do a Halloween show. So make sure you tune in then. Y'all, thank you so much. Enjoy the football games this weekend. We have been on the air for almost 3 hours. We usually don't run this late, but it's just been good quality content. And we know that you guys are enjoying your Friday nights and getting ready for a long day of college football tomorrow and NFL Sunday. So relax, be safe, enjoy yourselves, tell your people you love them, and roll tide. See y'all next week.